All right, welcome all of my aeromodeling friends. It's Monday again, Monday night, 9:40 p.m. on October 29th, 2018. Not much October left, and getting getting down towards the cold winter here. So hunker down and get ready to build, or whatever it is you do in the winter. And if you're lucky enough to be in the warm states, hey, hunker down and fly. But anyway, we're here both on YouTube and on the Stunthangar live video hangouts. And if you can uh, go to the Stunthangar control line forums and log in, you'll be able to find the thread with the link to the video chat. It's called At the Bench on the main stunthangar.com page. If you scroll down past the open forum and all the other stuff, you'll see At the Bench pop up, and the link will take you to this video window where all you need is a microphone and a camera. And if you would rather just watch on YouTube, you can either get to it from there, or you can just go to the Stunt Hanger, two words, channel on YouTube, and that is Sparky's site. And you can watch us live and use the chat box to talk with us via text and keyboard. And we'll try to integrate your conversations in with us on video. Um, and also, at the bottom of the chat box is the super chat $sign. And if you are so inclined, if you like what we're doing here, want to support us, click that, and you can put a little walking around change in the box, and we all appreciate that. That helps both me and Sparky out. And look who's here. We got Terry Forbes. Terry and the Pirates is here. Howdy, Terry. Glad to see you out there. Hope you can hang out with us tonight and contribute to our conversations. Terry's always got a lot to offer, especially when it comes to building, flying, just about everything. And so we got somebody that can contribute to our conversations, and it looks like we got 4 viewers in total, 3 of which are anonymous as of yet. And betting that Bob Bishop's probably one of them out there. He probably will pop in a minute. Jack Snavely. We got a whole host of people that like to watch on YouTube, and that's fine. If you don't have the bandwidth to handle the camera and the microphone, come on in anyway. And speaking of that, I got a buddy. Well, I got a lot of buddies with the Philly Flyers. Ken Cook is one of them, and he's been wanting to come into the show. And his computer's so old it's made of wood, I think, and so he doesn't have the resources to come in video with us. But if you're watching, Ken, come in on your desktop PC, and you should be able to find the chat box there. On the telephones and tablets, sometimes you have to go over to the right and all the way down, and then start scrolling before you can find the comments. And down there where the comments are is the chat box. I guarantee you it's on there somewhere, but every phone seems like it's different. But for those of you that are using a phone, turn it so that you're, oh, I don't have mine to show you. Turn it so you're holding it vertically instead of horizontally, as if you were shooting a movie. If you hold it vertically, then you can go over to the right, down to the bottom, and scroll the screen, and the chat box should be down there hiding somewhere. Why they hide it, I don't know. But anyway, try that. It's the only thing I know to tell you that might be able to help as of right now. The PC is the ultimate way to talk with us, but tablets and phones work just fine if you can tolerate, especially with a phone, looking at the internet through a keyhole. Is what it looks like to me. And if you are using a PC, the Chrome browser is the ultimate browser to watch it on, because it comes with the interface for the Google Live chats or Google Hangouts built into it. If it doesn't, it's an easy to get extension from the Google Play Store. Hey, Gerald. Gerald Wimmer's out there, and he's saying hi to everybody. Ron Hass is in here now, and so Terry's checking in, saying hi. If Elena's not working him too hard tonight, maybe he can get in here and talk to us a little bit. He's always a top-notch contributor too, giving us the report from under the equator. And it is coming summertime there. So as we're sinking into the dull, dark depths of winter up here, he is emerging like a spring flower into summertime on the bottom side of the earth. So come on up and hang out with us for a while, at least till you get cold. And if we get some video visitors in here, I'll hang out with you as late as we can go. Some nights we go on as late as 1 or 1:30. I think 1:40, 1:30, 1:40, probably our record. If the conversation's going good, hey, I'll stick here with the diehards as long as I can. If my face keels over and hits the keyboard, y'all can just close up shop and leave, but I'll stay as long as I can. And here comes Sparky from Stunthangar, and he got in so easy, it's scary. It reminds me I need to turn my controls on, so let me do that right now. Hey, Sparky, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. I just thought I'd keep company for the first few minutes.
Well, I was just clicking around and looked on YouTube because I had a notification from Stunthangar, and I saw my intro while I was sitting in the chair down there on Sunday morning when you put the camera tripod in front of me, and that's a pretty good little intro you had me do there. I like that.
Yeah. Well, if you remember my airplane from down there, why I couldn't, did you see it with the hole in the wing?
I didn't see the hole in the wing. I saw it after you fixed it on the video, but no, I didn't see it when it was broken.
Yeah, you saw it when I fixed it. Did I show you painted and everything?
When I saw it, it was not yet painted.
Okay. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. What's going on? Yeah, I'm here.
63.56 of negative weight, isn't
So
it?
64.
Yeah, or 60. Might be 65. It depends.
Yeah.
You know how much tip weight.
I'm just showing the airplane on the video on Stunthangar now, the fixed job.
Is that Gary?
That's where the hole was right there.
Okay, let me click up. Yeah. Well, let's see now. Yeah, and I can't.
We got a little different color here.
Yeah, I can see just a little bit of transition there, but
I'll get with you in a second, John.
Okay.
do you think it'll darken by itself with a little bit of time?
No, it's the wrong color red.
Ah, crap.
It's all right. I'm gonna mute my mic. I gotta talk to John for a bit.
Okay. Well, we'll see you when you get back.
Okay.
Okay, YouTubers, it's just us and y'all right now, just me and you guys, and so we'll sit here and wait for Sparky to finish talking on the phone, and so let's see. I don't have anything for show and tell tonight. Here's Gerald Wimmer. Let me allow Gerald access in. Come on, let's see. The glitchy buttons, and there we go. Okay, Gerald, you're in. If you'll unmute your mic.
Mercy, hi Sparky.
Sparky's muted and on the phone right now. How you doing tonight, bud?
I'm doing well, thank you. And yourself?
All right, that's as good as I'm gonna get right now. I can live with that for now, though. Looks like Jack Navley just joined us too. Hey, welcome, Jack. Said he
Oh,
went
gee.
flying on Sunday. He flew his Stork, and it was great. Used 40-foot by .008 lines, and it pulled hard with a Cox 5.3 3-blade. Not many people fly with a 3-blade, and I went to 50 feet, and it was still great. Hey man, if you can get it up to 50 feet and it's still pulling, then you got a good plane there.
Yeah, that's incredible. 50 feet.
Sparky was showing us the repair on his Junar just when you came in, Gerald, and Terry Forbes posts about the little bit of difference in color on the repaint. Now, Terry comments something I say all the time: wear your battle scars proudly. I always say I wear them like a badge. You know, my scrapes and nicks and glue joints. So gives it character. Doesn't get you many style points on the front row at the Nats, but I don't have that problem. So
It looked a very good review. I could only see the slight difference in color, and it's hard to tell on the computer too. But yeah, it looked good what he had managed to achieve in terms of repair. I saw the presentation you did at Huntersville, the video intro. That looked quite good.
Yeah. I wasn't sure what I was doing that intro for, but it was pretty good. I'm glad Sparky came and put the camera in front of me. I thought I was going to get to shoot that circle for a while, but he came back, and I think he saw me struggling trying to get the camera pointed right because I couldn't see a thing with the sun through the view screen. So he came and rescued me from that, took it away, and got some good video footage. And his is less boring than mine would have been, just planted there, pointed at the circle for however many contestants there were in that. That was the expert event it was pointed at. So, but yeah, glad I got to get a cameo in on the Stunthangar documentary.
Yeah, it was neat. The boys appreciated that. They said, "Oh, there's Rusty presenting the contest." So it helps tie things in for people. But yeah, it's nice when you sort of pan around and look at the models and talk to people. He talked to Dan Benjock about his twin ringmaster and stuff. That just adds a bit of interest and helps keep.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite things to film at contests too. And instead of just watching people fly over and over and over, you know, it's interesting. The planes some people show up with are just incredible.
Yeah, the event is the people and the models, and just watching the fly can be tedious. But yeah, when you can pan around like Alfredo's video of the combat meet that he panned around and looked at all the models, that was really good. You sort of got a bit of the action, and you got a bit of what was happening, and it was there.
Yeah, a good view of what the contest is all about. It's about the people, and just about the people and the flying and the spectators and everything.
Yeah, you can often capture the spirit of an event just by running through and seeing what people are doing, and you can see the weather and how the models are performing in the weather. Everything's different depending on how the weather performs on the day.
Oh boy, it was cold out there that morning.
Yeah, it looks it. Yeah, it definitely looks a bit nippy. But we still haven't got the winter here. It's blowing outside, and we've got some turbulent weather. At times my video cuts out or I lose power, like last week I was on, and then all of a sudden the computer just went dead, and
it disappeared on us once or twice, I think.
Yeah, other times I've got to sprint off to the bus, get the school bus before they drive off with the boys still on board, because they won't let them go unless they see a parent or guardian waiting at the gate. So
how long will it be before they come back if they do drive away?
I'll have to pick them up at the school. I'll have to jump in the car.
What kind of nonsense is that?
Typical PC nonsense. In my day, we went off to school in an ordinary bus. We just went off on our own, and nobody had to be there at home when you got home. Oh no, it's just crazy. I used to ride a bike to school at my oldest son's age 11. I was riding a bike to school, and when I left school, I went to an engine repair shop, engine reconditioners, and I worked there after school from age 11. And they couldn't do that now. There's just so many laws and regulations around everything. The PC world that we've got now, that they cradle up the kids. They protect them too much in cotton wool, and they never really get to experience the real world till it's too late, and then they struggle going from school into work. It's just too big a change for them, and that's where we've got a lot of problems with youth in New Zealand, especially where they can't make the transition from school or university into work. They've just been so isolated from what real life's like, in a sense. But,
Yeah,
This week I repaired. You got a window open, Gerald? Had a lot of feedback.
got a lot of feedback. I'll try. There's another one that's closed. I'll close it down completely.
the only time I hear it is when you talk, Sparky.
Right. Well, I get. It's gone now.
Yeah, and sometimes it just does that. We've never figured out why. It'll do it for about 5 minutes, and it'll do it to one particular person. And if it doesn't go away, I'll have to go mute everybody one by one to see who it is and have them sign off and back in. We've had that happen to Bob twice, and it works fine when he signs back in.
Anyway, Gerald, I repaired my airplane that was broke at Huntersville. I just showed it. I don't know if you saw it or not.
I did catch a glimpse. Yeah, I saw it. It looked good.
I made this other airplane go on a diet, lost 1.5 ounces.
Oh.
And how I did that was there's new landing gear. This one here, if you remember, had the big wheel spats on it, and now I got small wheel straps on.
Did you manage?
Let's see here. I went from these. I mean, these are cool looking, but I want to be light. I don't care about cool looking. They look cool.
Yeah, they do. If they get askew the slightest amount, they're a kind of a control surface hazard. I mean, they can steer you away from the circle, I guess. If you.
So then I sanded. I bought a super light set of wheels, and I sanded them up so that they were 2 grams less than my aluminum wheels. Yeah, that's 4 grams total. But I decided, well, them $high wheels, aluminum wheels that look better. I'll eat the 4 grams and forget it.
Yeah, sometimes the cool factor is worth the wait. That's true with aluminum spinners too.
Yeah, a lot of the aluminum spinners are really heavy. Those that are cast are really. They're like 2 ounce lead weights.
At least the wheels, they're right there near the CG, so it doesn't have as much effect as the spinner sitting way out there on the nose.
The spinner that's on that one is an unobtainium one. I got 3 of them. Got 1 left. It weighs like 3 grams. Carbon Medusa spinner.
We've got Steve. Steve, you with us?
I'm here. How are we doing, Gerald?
Thanks.
Hey, Steven.
Rusty, Sparky.
Anybody been flying since the last time we met?
I was flying.
Went out this past weekend a little bit.
We had our flying session at Massey Primary School because our normal flying site's out for TV work. They're shooting a sitcom, but we had a good flying session regardless. Otto was practicing his maneuvers, but got caught in the sun, and then he went straight in vertical with his model. And I just thought, well, why couldn't you just do anything up, down? If you can't see it, just give a movement. You've got a better chance that you'll catch it. But that's often what kids do when they're learning. But,
what movie are they shooting at? What sitcom are they shooting? Life on the Short Bus?
I've got no idea, but it's nothing to do with Control Line anyway. But they did actually.
They won't let the kids go unless you're standing there. Boy, I'd be pissed off.
Yeah, we did get an offer. We went along to the school. They have it's like their version of an A&P show. It's a agricultural day. They have the Ag Day at school, and the teachers saw their boys' ringmasters. I got them to build their ringmasters, not just for the ringmaster-a-thon, but also for the school Ag Day. And everybody saw the models there. There were lots of questions, and they want us to do a display next year at the primary school. So it's something we can look forward to, hopefully interesting a few young people anyway.
See, the thing is you have to get the parents involved because a kid can't afford it.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because at that Ag Day display, it was mainly the parents asking questions as well. They seem to, a lot of people have in their memory of something they did in the 60s or 70s where they remember control line models, and it seems to spark off those memories when they see an old control line model. But,
well, Microsoft and Facebook and all the big tech giants have just come out. It was just reported on Hannity tonight that they found that the computer FaceTime, with the screen is dumbing down America. So they need to get hands-on building something, or, their own kids, and like for Apple, all their stuff is done with pencil and paper, no computers.
yeah.
You gotta figure those skills out. Pencil, paper, how to read a tape measure, how to use a saw, how to use a drill. You can't believe people don't know how to do anything anymore.
No, the whole handcraft thing is largely dead. People just aren't using their hands like they used to, and they're being entertained. They're not being involved, and that's something that's quite obvious when you actually look at the agricultural show we went to. The number of models and that level of model building isn't what it used to be. You used to see people making model trains and cars, and not just planes. There were plenty of other aspects of modeling. And also all the lace work and the handcraft, knitting, all of that's all fallen on the wayside. All the haberdasheries you used to see around, the people aren't doing that either. It's not just modelling, but other handcrafts that have fallen away too.
Why do it when you can buy it from China?
Yeah, that's the shame of it. But oh well, hopefully we can spark up a few young people and get them interested. With our own bunch flying, we've got like 4 people that regularly fly that are under 15 years old in our club now, which is that's like a quarter of our club virtually are under 15-year-olds. 5 actually. Yeah.
Well, that's good. We don't have any young people.
They're back to doing some things with the high schoolers now that they had quit doing, but they did back when I was young. And it is the local industry, of which we have a lot here in Central South Carolina, working with the tech school systems and pulling people out of high school to learn particular trades that have an immediate application to what these industrial companies are building. Like we've got diesel injection systems and all kinds of different industry, and so that's a hopeful thing. I hope that sticks around and that kids will become attracted to going into that trade school type thing instead of feeling like they're forced towards a college education. Because my son's school was strictly college prep. They didn't even consider trade school or anything like that. So.
Yeah.
I got to wrap it up, guys. I got to get to bed.
Okay, Sparky. I'll let Steve Hines in here.
All right, guys.
Okay, catch you later, Sparky.
All
okay,
right.
Sparky.
Have a good one, Sparky. Take her easy. Yep.
Hi, Steve.
Hey, how's it going, Gerald?
Good, thanks. Yourself?
Not too much. Get any flying in this weekend?
We flew at the alternative venue, and we got some good flying in. And one of the young guys who's age 9 got in his first solo flights. He did 2 solo flights on his own, and he was wrapped. And
Right.
Otto was in the circle helping him. So, yeah, the blind leading the blind in a way, but Otto's laughing his head off as he's going up and down all over the place. And I was just thinking, well, it's adding entertainment value if nothing else. But yeah, it was good to actually see him fly solo.
Well, us old guys think we're fun to be around, but really kids like to be around kids.
Yeah.
And that's probably the best thing. The more kids will join. Just, that was like Samantha. I mean, her whole flying deal, she was around people 50 years old and older. You know, she never had kids to fly with.
I was saying to Rusty and Sparky before that we've got be 5 people under the age of 15 flying with us regularly in our club. So we're not doing too badly. We've got 2 women flying as well, so we're branching out. But I suppose if you can the families like Sparky said, then you've got a better chance of hooking more people in too. And I think if they see women flying and other kids flying, then it's more inviting for the general population to think, yeah, that's an activity I can enjoy without feeling like I'm an outsider.
I always tell Samantha, I said, the bigger the crowd, the more people show up.
Yeah.
You know, and it's the truth. It was, we used to have a booth at this Toledo trade show. It was one of the biggest ones at one time in the world. And a buddy of mine would sell stuff there or whatever. And all we had to do was, there was 4 of us. It was him and another guy. It really was their business. And we just kind of went along to help. And when there was nobody looking, me and my brother would just walk around to the front of the table and start moving stuff around and looking and stuff. And people would come in and see what we're looking at. And then more people would show up. We'd go back around the other side of the table, sit down. When all these people were done looking, we'd walk back out, start fiddling with stuff. More people would show up. And we did that all day long for 2 days. And Len's like, he goes, I've sold 100 times more stuff here at this one than I ever have before. Just by getting people to look. But if nobody's looking, no one's interested.
Yeah, it's a bit like the empty cafe syndrome, where you've got an empty cafe, people go in, and then others just start flooding in once they see other people eating in a cafe or restaurant. But nobody wants to go to an empty one. But once it starts filling up, then everybody wants to be in there. It must be a good one then.
Well, that's why I said, like, these cafes, they'd be smart if they made people stand in line outside, even if there's nobody inside, just to be seated. And people just seeing people standing outside in the line to get into a cafe, they'd show up. And that was kind of like when we were in France. If all the tables were filled up outside in these cafes, people were just packing in, standing around to get a table. But the ones that had empty, a lot of empty seats, nobody was there. But most of us were all tourists, and we wouldn't know the difference if it was a good cafe or a bad cafe. We're just choosing it because there was a lot of people waiting in line, so it had to be good.
Must be, yeah. Hey, Bob.
Eat where the truck drivers eat.
Hold on, I'm not going to give up.
How you doing tonight, Bob?
How you guys doing? Hi, Rusty.
We're all right.
Steve?
We had Stephen McBride. He disappeared on us. I don't know if he had a power failure or what, but he just kind of disappeared.
Happy to come back in. We can't always rely on the internet. We do get those occasions where everything comes to a reason.
My picture went off here.
Well, you can still hear you.
Yeah, I got your avatar, but I don't see your big picture.
Oh, he's gone out. Maybe he's going to try coming back.
Yeah.
It's just like with Samantha. I told her about, about going shopping for you. I said, nobody asked you to say that. If you didn't want to do it,
Rusty, have you managed to get your materials into build inside yet, or are you still working on setting up the workbench?
No, I'm still waiting. It'll maybe this coming weekend I'll get around to it. But I gotta talk to my son, see if he's interested in helping me do it. I mean, that's not a question. I know he'll be interested, but he's got a busy life with his family, and I've had a rough week too, so I hadn't been up to doing anything like that. But yeah, I'm not gonna let that one slide. We're gonna have me a place set up. Looks like it's working now, Bob. That's okay. You're dark in your big picture too, but At least we can see you. We know what you look like. So, besides building wings, what you been doing for entertainment, Bob? When you just want to sit down and chill out, what's your favorite kind of music just to bang around on the guitar with? Yeah, yeah. The country I liked Merle Haggard and Waylon Jennings and all those guys. Yeah. No, I have not. And I don't. Ben Heck. Okay. Okay.
Bob, are you sitting in the dark?
Okay. I wrote those down on my notepad. I'll look them up.
Yeah, Merle Haggard's son played with him and Willie on some concerts and stuff.
Yeah. The only other Mo I remember was Mo Bandy, but yeah, Mo Bandy and Joe Stampley. Wow. Okay. Yeah, I got it on my list now. So I was surprised to find out uh, that Pandora's #1 search is for country music. More people listen to country music than anything else on Pandora worldwide.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, I knew you liked folk rock. Like, I guess, I don't know if the Eagles, I guess that would fall into folk rock. So Jackson. Um, uh, mhm. Gosh, it's been so long since I flipped through my vinyl stack. I don't have them at instant recall like I
Let's
used
hear you
to.
do it. Let's hear you do a Bob Dylan song, Bob.
Yeah.
But I want to hear you sing one of Bob's songs. Sound like you.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
What about the Traveling Wilburys? Do you like them? I like
Oh,
the first album. I love that. And
yeah.
Roy Orbison, I had a Roy Orbison. He was on their first album. I had a Roy Orbison song in my head one day. Couldn't shake it. Which, if you got to get a song stuck in your head, Roy Orbison's not a bad one. Oh, that's interesting. No kidding. Oh no.
Mm.
Oh no. I was
Yeah.
about to say that's too cool, but
Yeah, that scared him that bad to do an interview with you. He died. Holy shit. Did you get the interview with him?
Yeah.
Well, there was that other Indianapolis 500 winner.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, this oh, he I don't know if he's from Argentina or where. God, yeah, Juan Pablo. Yeah, he's real big into it too. But I guess I don't know if it has something to do with just reflexes and coordination and what shit that goes around and yeah,
Right.
that's probably why it was so nice because you weren't talking to him about music, you know.
Yeah.
Fun.
Rather,
And
yeah.
so many people are fans of what it is. Don't go. So many people are fans of their music, and they don't. They probably get weary of people telling them how great of fans they are and all that kind of thing. Which it's nice to know and nice to meet the fans. But yeah, absolutely, yeah. Oh, yeah. Albert Lee's main niche is he's a bluesman, isn't he? Isn't he? Oh, I know. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I got one time at a concert. After the concert, I got to talk to Steve Tyler and Perry, um, Joe Perry, and I had to go to the
Joe
bathroom.
Perry.
Joe Perry, yeah, he was a hell of a guitar player. I had to go to the bathroom. No, so we were getting ready to head out of this. It was an outdoor concert, and so we're parked a shit in 3/4 of a mile from where the concert was at. So we're walking there, and there was like this little 2-track or whatever along the back, and there were some bands and stuff like that parked there. Well, I decided I got to go to the bathroom, so I took and walked behind all them bands. Well, while I'm going to the bathroom, all of a sudden this car pulls up, and I'm like, oh man, And so all of a sudden, some guy says, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Going to the bathroom." Holy crap. And I turn around and it's Steve Perry sitting in his limo talking to me. So then I talk to him and he's wiping his face. I'm like, "Let me have that towel." He goes, "No, I'm all sweaty." I said, "Come on, let me have the towel." And Joe says, "Give him the dumb towel. He goes, "Okay, when we take I'll give it to you." So he's wiping his face off. And other people are like, "What's wrong with you? Who are you talking to?" And I said, "Steve Tyler and Joe Perry." Just for it said Aerosmith on it. I wanted that towel that said, no, 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 it's a souvenir. So I wanted that towel. And so they said, "Who are you talking to?" And these guys are yelling. And I said, Steve Perry, and you know, and I mean Steve Tyler and Joe Perry. And they're like, yeah, what the hell? They're like, you're high or whatever. And they know I don't drink anything. But all of a sudden, who signed that? Oh, okay. So some girl screamed and Aerosmith and the limo takes off and he's holding the towel out the window, and I couldn't run fast enough to grab the towel, and he didn't drop it because there's so many people. Then we're just hundreds of people coming around. Bam, the limousine's gone. I didn't get my souvenir.
Oh, we're back up now. My light's back on.
Yeah, there you go.
Here,
But it was fun talking to them. I mean, they're just as normal as anybody else.
See that a little bit better there.
Yeah.
David Lynn.
Now we can see it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you take them to a concert with you, or?
Yeah, I went to a concert, and it was a meet and greet at the end, and it turned out that he worked at he did a gig out at Disneyland years and years and years ago, back in the 60s. And my father was an automation engineer, and Walt Disney had hired him and flew him out there to do some automation on one of their rides. And my dad came home and was telling me about these caverns underneath the rides where they have all the hydraulic equipment to run the rides. And Lindley was talking about going down in those caverns and getting stoned, you know. So at the end there, I was meeting him. I told him, I said, my dad used to work in those same caverns you talked about. So we talked for about 15, 20 minutes. He was a nice guy.
Hey, Jamie, what do you got your mic turned off?
Jamie.
Was he frozen?
No, he's limber.
Oh, he's got his mic off. You know.
He's thawed.
No, he's freezing up or something.
Bob, your darkness there for a few minutes was my mistake.
Oh, okay. Well,
oh, there he's gone.
He'll be back.
Yeah. Bumped him off or whatever.
Yeah, but it's cool. You meet up people from other walks of life, famous people, you know. I met David Hobbs when we went to, we were coming back from Czechoslovakia, I think it was. Or was it Poland? I'm not sure which. I think it was Czechoslovakia. And I had to turn in the rental car in Frankfurt. And in line was David Hobbs, you know, the Formula One race car driver who was an announcer at that point in time for Formula One. And I said, "Are you Mr. Hobbs?" He says, "Yeah, I'm David Hobbs." I said, "What are you doing here?" He says, "Well, we were at the, was it Hockenheim or one of the, or Nürburgring race." And he asked me where we were. I said, "We were at a model airplane contest." He said, "How'd you do?" I said, "Well, we won. We took 1, 2, 3." So he said, "Well, that's pretty cool." You know, we talked for a while. They're just regular people.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't, one time when I was in Vegas on a convention, it was during the Sugar Ray Leonard and and Hearns's fight.
Hearns fight, yeah.
Oh my, talk about the stars that showed up.
Oh,
Even in our motel and stuff like that, it was just crazy how many of them that, you know, I didn't bother them. They weren't there to.
Yeah.
Some people were bothering, and they just kept right on walking. And it's like, you know, geez, they just come to have a good time, and just people flock all around them and stuff. And
of all the people that you've seen on screen or music or whatever, all the stars, who was the one you'd like to meet most?
the nicest one to me?
No, who was the one you would like to meet most that you never met?
Oh.
Gosh, that's a tough one. Maybe Pete Townsend, somebody like that. That's just off the wall. First thing to think of. But
how about you, Steve?
I really don't know. You know, it's like there's a lot of old stars that are gone and stuff like that. That, you know, I really would have liked to meet Dean Martin.
Really?
oh, really?
Okay.
For some reason, I don't know.
Pretty cool guy.
Yeah, it's just, you know, because they said that.
Mine, is, mine is a toss-up between Eric Clapton and Emmylou Harris.
Yeah,
Eric Clapton, I think, is a little bit older. I think he's 60.
I don't know.
I think he's 60.
Yeah, it's just, you know, because they said that. You know, I always thought Clapton until I heard what he did to
Harrison?
yeah. After that, I want nothing to do with that kind of a person.
Yeah, but he's redeemed himself, and even after that, they were best friends. They called themselves husbands-in-law.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know, yeah, they said that and stuff, but he'd have been in the Traveling Wilburys and all that. I don't know. I just once someone does that, it takes him off the list of people I want to meet.
Yeah, but look what he's done in the last few years. He's sold millions of dollars worth of guitars and put all that money into that treatment center down in Antigua and let people come for free and get, you know, detoxified. Now he's done some good stuff too. You know?
Yeah, I don't know. I never followed him after all that stuff. I mean, you know, it's just I don't know.
Well, heck, well,
but yeah,
that would be one of my. It would be either him or Emmylou Harris would be who I want to meet. You know,
Emmylou
or Bill Werwage, but I already notched that one off my list.
Yeah, Emmylou Harris. She's something too. That'd be somebody. I guess she's a lot different than you see on TV as a singer and stuff like that. You know, and they said the same thing about Dean Martin. If you see him in home movies and stuff like that, he's like a totally different person.
Yeah,
like,
they said Errol Flynn was kind of a nice guy too, very different than his, and Humphrey Bogart. They were all, you know, different than their on-screen personas.
Yeah, they had to have them all the time to keep their audience and people wanting them, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But when they weren't around, you know, it was a deal to where they were just so much different. You know, same thing with Jerry Lewis. It showed them, you know, hanging out, stuff like that. They were just normal people, but more likely all these people are just normal people.
Sean Connery seems like a fun guy.
Yeah, he sure does.
Yeah.
He's about a million.
English people are just different, you know. I don't know. My buddy who comes from England and stuff, him and his diesel motors.
So he's not English.
Huh?
He's not English.
What is he?
He's Welsh.
Yeah, so he is.
Oh, Connery is Welsh. Yeah, no, my buddy is from.
My mother is of Welsh descent.
Yeah, my dad was also.
Mm-hmm.
But this my buddy though. He's from England. He's English, and him and his diesel motors, and he's always messing around anything with diesel control. What it doesn't matter, and it's just so funny. My brother was like, "What do you like diesels? What are you gonna do with them?" He goes, "Oh, these diesels are rubbish, but I love them." He says, "He loves them." I don't know, but him and his diesel motors.
Once you fly a diesel, you know, and have a diesel in your car or your home, you're branded forever by the smell.
Welcome, Charles.
Hi, everybody.
They're pouring in. Eddie Suter's coming too. There we go.
They're hanging out there in the weeds.
Hey, Eddie. You can unmute your mic and come on in.
Jamie, can you hear us now?
Yeah, I'm just laggy.
Oh, you're just lagging way back. You kind of went out.
He's waiting for the conversation to come back around to airplanes.
If you need Fox fuel, just I don't know how much you're going to burn. You can get it from Rodak. It's just Rodak fuel is S&W. Bob probably knows the guy who makes S&W.
S&W is mixed about 1.5 miles from here.
Yeah, so S&W is good fuel. It's been around for 50 years probably.
I would argue with you, but I don't want to.
Yeah.
It's the worst fuel I've ever run in my entire life. It ruined so many engines.
No shit. Yeah, I ran it. I think it runs fine, but
yeah, well, we wrecked a lot of engines on that. Oh, especially back, really, you know, to be fair, to a degree, to be fair. Back when the Angus company, who produced the only really good nitro,
right,
from Texas, they had their reactor explosion, and they were out of business for a while. And the only thing available was Grace Nitro, that Chinese stuff that burns so hot. It's the only stuff we can get now, too. And he said that he had a whole bunch of Angus Nitro, and that's what he was using to mix his fuel. Well, Billy started blowing up, because we were buying S&W fuel, and then putting other ingredients into it, a little more castor and other things into it. And it was running fine up until the point when that Grace Nitro thing came along. He said it didn't have the Grace Nitro, but Billy has a friend who was a chemist, and he put it into a spectrometer and found out it was the Grace Nitro. The guy was lying to us.
That or Angus bought nitro and put it under their own name.
And we were blowing it up left and right. No, he just lied to us.
Okay.
I have no use for that.
Hey guys, talking about old airplanes. I went over to my dad's and got one. I don't know if you'll be able to see it or not.
Oh, biplane.
I can't even see Eddie's. Oh, I see the black on Eddie's thing. That's how much I'm black. Oh wow, that's interesting.
Look at that. Is that a Polish fighter?
I don't know. Here's what it says.
Antique plane built in the 40s, not for sale.
My
So
dad.
you had to steal it, huh?
There was a hobby shop up the road, and when he closed up, he let Daddy buy this plane. It hung up there in the hobby shop forever. But it was it took the old spark ignition, and where the canopy or the cockpit is where the battery went.
Oh.
It was pretty cool, but it used to be blue and white. Daddy recovered it because the silk span had all deteriorated on it, and he just kind of
Hold it up. Take a look at it. Hold it up.
How many volts is a spark ignition battery?
I don't have a clue.
It's 12 volt, isn't it? Or is it 9?
It's
6.
Oh,
6
6
volt. Yeah, and then it drops down to 4.5 normally for running. They have a higher starting voltage.
Look at that. Got a reverse stagger.
Got a little bit of water off that.
The top of the wing. That's interesting.
A gull.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the pilot could see where he's going.
Yeah. Or there's a machine gun mounted in the middle of it to block his view, possibly.
Don't have a
Was this
clue
a
what.
warbird, or is this just a civilian plane?
Don't have a clue. If anybody knows.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was probably, they put the V in there like that to build it into the fuselage and make the wings more stable instead of having it suspended.
Makes sense.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I've always wanted to duplicate it because I'd be afraid to fly that one. Means that it's about 60 years old.
Well.
I just don't know how much it weighs or what it would take to fly it.
Old magazines, old ads, it often helps find old models. If it was a kit, it would be easy to find out what it was. If it was a kit, it even have any printed marks when you look inside the cockpit. Can you tell anything if anything was printed, or does the undercarriage look like they were factory formed?
Jamie's here.
Good one.
Mic is working.
Just
That's beer. All beer.
It's got some stamping markings like it's been lined off or marked off.
Yeah, so it might be an early Comet kit or a Berkeley kit. So if you look through some old magazines, even some old Air Trails magazines, and
I don't think it's a Berkeley. It might be a Comet, but it's not a Berkeley. I don't remember them having that one.
What's on the tail there?
It's got a, if you don't see it or not, it's got a panel there where it's cut out for the fuel tank.
That's for the battery. That was an electric power back then.
I thought the battery went in here, but I don't know. It may be.
That was just a joke. That's how some people do battery electric planes now. What's on the tail on the rudder?
An S.
S stands for yeah.
S stands for Suter. That's my dad. That's our last name. So he just put that on there.
The other hitch might be for the coil, because the coil, you want the coil close to the engine if you can. oil buried in the other little hatch.
See if I can find a screwdriver around here.
See, if he would have did the wings in white and had the S on there, that would have been a Michigan State airplane.
There you go.
Yeah. That's kind of like my fourth air.
Oh,
I put
okay.
ES on that. So kind of personalized it a little bit.
So, Steve, how are your Michigan college football teams doing this season?
Michigan is doing okay, which I can't stand Michigan. I root for them to lose every week, but they only lost to Notre Dame so far. They're in the top 5, but.
Did Ohio State fire Urban Meyer?
I don't know. They gave him like 3 games off, but.
Yeah, but I think that something happened today, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, I know he lost to Purdue really bad.
That's probably it.
What is it that Urban Meyer did a few weeks back? I knew there was some headlines, but never caught
One
up
of his
with it.
assistants was involved in a sexual harassment thing, and he kind of blew it off and didn't properly punish the guy, and they took exception to that.
Yeah,
he made some comment about that woman that first said something about it, and he kind of made a comment about her or something. And
we got a comment on the airplane. Sherry Forbes says his guess is the biplane is a Gulf Hawk by Demco.
Wow.
Oh. Yeah, it looks like a Gulf Hawk. Yeah, just with the Calma saying you can't really see what the front was like, but yeah, the wing looks like that.
Jack Snavely says the coil on his sparker is 3 volts. Let's see. We got somebody whose name I don't know.
Doran, hey Doran, how you doing, guy?
he's not wearing a helmet. You can let him in.
Yeah,
I haven't seen you in a million years, man.
We're on troll alert over here, so I'm
You don't look
glad.
as young as you used to look.
I'm sorry?
You don't look as young as you used to look, but I guess I don't either.
Shit, I'm an old fart.
I'm an old fart.
Yeah, this is a regular geezer parade here.
Now, you're a kid compared to most of us. You and James.
Yeah, I am.
Oh, I'm changing the area code too. You're gonna call me at 5 something from now on. I'm gonna be 50 soon. So.
Oh, gee, you was 57.
Bob, Saturday, when you turn 71?
71, yeah, Saturday. Sure.
Saturday, Bob turns 71.
I got a call today from Dennis Harkai. Remember Denny Harkai? Used to fly with Bill Werwage and I. And he called up to wish me a happy birthday. I haven't talked to him in years, and he just called up to wish me a happy birthday.
That's very cool.
Yeah, I got a few phone calls to make. I've been putting off calling some old friends that are starting to make me feel bad for not calling them now. So I need to get check in with my old buddies.
Jordan, I liked your airplane. I saw pictures of it. I heard some reports about it. It really looks good, man.
Oh, thanks a lot. Appreciate that. Yeah, it's very sweet. I mean, just like I jumped from like a Twister to an SV11.
Yeah.
With a 46 VF on tune pipe and stuff like that.
Now you're electric.
And good grief, you know how fast I make progress on that plane.
Yeah.
Oh man, I didn't know how to fly the whole pattern at all, but I think in a matter of less than a month, I was flying everything.
How do you like electric?
Electric? Oh man, it's stupid easy.
Yeah, it's great, isn't it?
You can concentrate on flying, huh?
Yeah, how about it?
Oh yeah. You forget about all the problems, about everything. All you worry about is just where you want to put the plane.
Yep.
I mean,
geometry.
Yeah, even some internal combustion setups work pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
They're very consistent.
Yep.
But you have to spend some dollars on those systems. I mean, if you go with a PA or a Rojet or something like that, the bigger, the more reliable and the more consistent it becomes. But still, if you go to a higher altitude, lower altitude,
Yep.
I can fly electric in the outer space. It doesn't care.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, and
Well, some of the stuff you did on that airplane was amazing. I was following the thread on Stunthangar. Very nice.
Cool. Thanks. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
We just finished building number 2 right now, and it's 53 ounces.
Wow, that's great.
Is that with the battery and everything?
Yes.
Wow.
Holy cow.
That's amazing.
What
I had Genesis at 54 ounces with the battery on board, but that's
What's your name on Stunthangar? Did I hear him call you Dorian?
Doran. They call me Doran there. Yes.
Dorian. Okay, because your name here says Trayan.
Yeah.
All right. Now I recognize. I think I recognize Doran.
Yeah. Where are you from, Doran?
Romania.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I just went outside today on my way back home, and I burned like 6 flights back to back.
Yeah.
Oh, you still getting some pretty nice weather there then?
60 degrees and light winds. Beautiful.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Yeah, it's just fantastic. I'm just trying to. I just realized that people that I compete against, they fly like 800 flights a year, or some of them even over 1,000. So if you want to go, especially the guy who won advanced this year at the Nats, he was flying almost every day, and I understand he was flying before the Nats. He put like 400 flights this year alone, and I said, "Holy shit!"
I can contest to that because I was with him for most of them.
Yeah, so I was just being glad to match his scores.
Yeah.
So, and I was matching his scores after like last time I flew. You saw me over there last time I flew. Bob, when was that? It was way back when. 2002, I think, one of the last times that I actually flew, and from 2002 to today, I don't think I flew more than 30 flights, if that.
Wow.
And then I finished the plane just before the Nats, the maiden flight on the plane at the Nats.
Yeah, nothing like being over practiced,
Yeah. So
I can identify with that though.
yeah. So right now I'm trying to put a little bit more practice. I'm trying to put at least 10, 15 a week or so.
Yeah.
So to move up, and I'm getting to know the plane a little bit better every time I go out, and I'm more and more confident to wail on it. Just.
Are you still making the hollow carbon props?
I never made them.
Oh, I thought you did. You made your own props though.
I did make my own props, the gear props, yes.
But they weren't hollow.
No, they were not hollow.
I just ordered a bunch of the hollow props from Igor.
Mm-hmm.
Flat back hollows.
Yeah. Why did you go flat back? Is that they take a little bit less energy?
Yeah. I'm flying I'm designing a somewhat smaller airplane than I had before. And I was talking to Paul Walker, and he's going down size too. A lot of people are going down to the 1520 with the 5S system and a 3-blade 11s. The hollow blade 11s. I'm not even going to use the undercamers. I'm just going to use the flatbacks.
Yeah, I have the undercamber on mine, the 11 undercamber 3-blade. I mean, works fine, but I think it's I have so much headroom for power that I can use that is not even funny. I'm using 1500 milliamps out of 2800 milliamps per flat. And I'm not even breaking the sweat.
Is that a 5S system?
I put in wrong.
6S.
6S system. Okay.
Baby.
I could go 5 easily with no problem. I'm thinking about going 5 and a different motor.
What motor are you using?
It's called the Joker.
The Joker. Okay.
Yeah, I've heard of them.
From here in Germany.
Yeah.
Motors are motors. The magnets are magnets. Kind of the same quality everywhere. Brass is brass. Winding is
The
winding.
flets are a little higher quality, but they're a lot more money too.
Yeah, a little bit better. Bearings maybe here and there.
Yeah.
And
I was happy using the Cobras. I mean, I ran E-flights and I ran Axes, and I think I got like the Cobras best. But then I was convinced by Walker to try the Plettenberg. So.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I see that. The reason for which I picked up this motor is because it was the lightest in its frame.
Mm-hmm. Is it a 28 millimeter motor?
4250.
No, I'm not doing anything else.
I'm
A 4250?
Yes.
How big is the can? What millimeter?
42 millimeters.
Well, that's a big motor.
Yeah. Well, see, so the idea here, Bob, is that I'm trying to, in electric, you rob Peter to pay Paul, more or less, right? Everybody goes to the lightest motors they can possibly get the job done for the particular propeller and RPM you want to achieve, right? And because they go so light over there, then that motor it requires a lot of power to pump into it to produce that RPM. So now I have a hot ESC and a battery that works very hard to push all that. And now you need a bigger battery to have all that juice in it to push into the motor to get over there, right? Now, my theory is completely the opposite. Use the biggest motor, and actually, if you think about it, yeah, as the motor gets bigger and bigger, for the same RPM and the same propeller, let's say the RPM and the propeller is fixed, right? It doesn't change. As the motor gets bigger and bigger, you're gonna see the amp dropping, and then all of a sudden, it's kind of gonna bottom out. And as you increase size in the motor, it's gonna bottom out somewhere. And then as motors get bigger and bigger, you just add weight at that point.
It's an interesting concept. Most of the guys have been flying bigger motors. Now they're going back to small motors again. Like Paul's gone back to a very small motor.
Yeah, well, yeah. They try to make things lighter, but they don't realize that as the motor gets smaller, the battery gets bigger, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it does. It does, because you need more amps and more energy to put in that little motor to work. And now what happens? This is the problem with this theory that I'm thinking of. This might, my idea. I mean, I might be wrong or whatever.
No, whatever works.
But once you do that, you go to a small motor. What happens? You need a ESC that's like 60 amps, 70 amps, because it has a lot of amp to go in the little shit to turn, And now the ESC is heavier and works very hard. And to 60 or 70 amps to pump into that motor, now you have a big battery that can release the juice at that rate, right?
Well, are you using an active? Are you using an active timer system?
Yeah.
Which one?
The Igor.
Igor system?
Yeah, I also have the Fiora.
But doesn't that require the 60 amp jetty spin in order to operate properly?
That's not true. You use the correct amp ESC for whatever the amperage draw you have from your motor.
Because he got those specially programmed for his active timer system.
You can use any jetty. I mean, jetty is recommended, but it's not
according to him. But that's all right, Yeah, not according to Igor.
Yeah, I have a Jetty 66, and I have the Jetty 66 because I didn't know what I was going to have, right? This is basically my first setup. I kind of got lucky on it because it just works so great, So to finish my story, you have a big battery that's trying to put a lot of juice into a big amp, into a little bitty motor, and you're thinking you are saving weight, but the ESC gets bigger, it's heavier. And the battery gets bigger, it's much heavier, right? And if you go the opposite direction, and the ESC runs super hot, the battery runs super hot, and the engine, you can cook eggs on it by the time you finish with the flight.
Yeah.
Because how many people are saying, "Oh, I cannot touch the motor; it's so hot because it burns my fingers or whatever." Think about that. That side. Now my concept is go the motor big. Drop as the motor gets bigger and bigger, the amps drop, and all of a sudden you hit the bottom. For example, let's say you hit the bottom at about 16, 18 amps or so. And then as the motor gets bigger, it still stay at the 16, 18 amps. So I think that's a good place to stop, okay, with the motor size. And right now what happens, you need the eeny beeny ESC that's very lightweight. The battery has a very easy job providing the 16 amps with no effort whatsoever. And by the time you're done with the flight, you can touch any of the components. I mean, I flew for 1 hour, back-to-back flights all day long. I was taking the batteries out. I was holding it in my hand, just putting it there. It's barely warm to the touch. No effort whatsoever in a system.
No, it's an interesting concept. It really is.
I said that here, I don't know, last year when we did Samantha's Vector. I put a bigger motor in it than what it said to use. And I had another one with the motor they said to use. I use less power on the one with the bigger motor than I did on the one with
yeah, as the motor gets bigger, the battery gets smaller. And what I found out, if I was going to, I was looking at the original system, the Axie with a 6S battery, big battery, right? And usually people use the Axie F2B, which is the 26 or something like that. Which one?
Well, the 282610 is the one for the 4-cell, and I guess they have a 12, and they have others as well. As soon as if you go up in battery, you got to go down to kV.
Yeah, it's the one that's 700 kilovolts or something, 750 Axie, 2826. I think it's F2B. If you go to a Spirit, it's called the F2B. It's the Igor motor, right?
Okay.
And they usually go with a little motor, which is a 175 gram motor. And they use a battery that's actually the battery I'm using right now, the Thunder Power 2800 milliamps, which weighs about 350 grams or so, right?
Yeah.
And pumps about the same ESC, 66 amp ESC. And if you add do all the math on all, this whole system has a certain weight, right? Now, if my motor is just 25 grams heavier. My motor is 35 grams heavier, right? So I'm paying constant change on the motor side, right? But I'm using only 1600 milliamps. If I could find the battery, that's 2000 milliamps 6S, imagine how much more weight I would save. And I still have a relaxed system that's not stressed out at all.
The only other problem with that bigger diameter motor is fitting it into a narrow fuselage. So we might have to start designing bigger airplanes, or bigger noses.
No, I don't think so, Bob, because a lot of us are using those 2-inch spinners. And
I'm using an 1.5-inch spinner.
Okay. So how much is 1.5 inches?
Well, yeah, but I'm using what they call an annular inlet. The air comes in around the spinner. It's an opening around the spinner, and it goes through the motor mount and through the motor. So my motors run really cold.
Yeah, I mean, I have absolute. I mean, my motors are so cool when I'm done with the flight. Actually, I run the motor on the ground one day in a very hot weather. I was at the I was at the in Florida at the contest. So it was not exactly too cold over there, right?
No.
And I ran the motor on the ground because I didn't want to have my batteries charged up, and it was a quick and dirty way to, get them to storage charge. So I ran the battery down on the ground. The motor stopped. I pick up the plane. I touched the ESC, touched the motor, touched the battery. Nothing was barely warm. I mean, was zero heat over there, and heat is wasted energy. So if your system runs very hot, you have all that wasted energy. So you start wondering, well, if I go to a 4S system, right, and a small itty-bitty motor, everything is hot, and why am I using so much battery? Because if I do the math, 4 multiplied by the battery used versus 6 multiplied by the battery used, you're going to find, what's less one is more, right? And obviously the hotter system is going to be more usage because all that heat you are creating is coming from somewhere, right? So it's energy from the battery that was used in a system. So that's kind of the idea behind it. I think if you big motor is the way to go because you save a lot of weight overall.
Huh. Well, that's an interesting concept. Well,
Yeah, it's like
under advisement.
this motor. Here's the two motors we had in the Vector, and the short, bigger diameter, bigger motor. The weight is a teeny bit more, but it used like 55% of the battery. This one used 80% of the battery.
Yeah, so now you can go with a smaller battery.
Same airplane, same propeller, same battery, same everything. And that's what I've been saying. And I talked to Dennis Adamission, and he says the bigger diameter of the motor being shorter, you get more torque, and you don't use as much battery. So and they're more efficient. So I don't know. You hear all this stuff, but you know,
guys, we were putting the glow guys to sleep here. You know that.
Here chatting with YouTube guys. I'm entertaining the YouTube crowd.
Yeah, it's just, you know, I noticed that myself, but it's like I can't prove it, and I haven't done testing with enough
All
motors.
these glow guys are sitting there squirting fuel, going, "Oh, there's castor oil smell. That's good," you know.
That's the way I am.
I just have to put that into long stroke, short stroke, over square, under square motors.
That's funny.
Well, it's interesting to me. It's interesting. I used to be an electronic technician, so I find it interesting. And hey, I think it's the future. I really do.
There's no doubt it's the future.
Yeah, I just like to have a bob both ways. I want to have.
You go both ways.
I want to try both. I want to do more of them.
You know, the guy who developed lithium batteries, he's like 94 years old now. He's a professor, and he has now come up with a new battery, a sodium-based battery that he says is going to just eliminate the lithium batteries completely.
A sodium-based?
Sodium-based battery.
Damn, I'm sold, huh?
It'll be a lot safer, and you know, this technology is maybe 4 or 5 years from being implemented into what we're doing. You know.
This is how you prove that. This is how you prove the theory. You buy one of these. It's called a power watt analyzer, right? And what you do, you plug the battery on one end, you plug the ESC on the other end, so you kind of daisy chain between the battery and ESC. And when you run the motor on the ground, on the bench somewhere, right? And you can use some kind of a pulse code generator, or like a servo tester. You have one of those. Just use a servo tester, and you plug this into your ESC so you can change the RPM with it. It's just simple, right? And then you can just ramp up the motor to whatever RPM you want to have and put the propeller on, right? And you can read on this guy how many watts you drawing, how many amps you drawing from the battery, and you know exactly what you're having at your normal regime of flying. Then swap motors, put the propeller back on, tack it up to the same exact RPM, and you can read it again. And you have.
How much did that one cost you? That one there?
$15.
Okay, I got mine from Hobby Parts. It's a green one. It was $5.95.
Of one, half a dozen of the other.
Yeah, you know, and I sat there and I put this stuff. I made a test stand, and I had it down there in North Carolina. I don't know if Rusty's seen it or not. I was testing and breaking in batteries, but I made a test stand up that I can mount electric motors to, and I got a battery compartment in it, and I hooked that up there, and I got it velcroed to the piece of wood, and I can sit there and watch the wattage, and it's like it doesn't lie. I don't know.
Bigger. It's just common sense. Think about it. You can have an itty bitty motor spinning this prop, right? Or you can have this big of a motor spinning the same prop. Which one is going to have an easier time doing it?
Yeah, the bigger motor.
Obvious, right?
Yeah,
the bigger one has a lot less energy put into it to turn the prop. So it's common sense.
Use as little or as much of its power as you want.
Exactly. Yeah.
I got a question. On these electric motors, can you set the RPMs, or are they a set RPM? I mean,
no, you set them wherever you want them.
Okay, I didn't know.
All depends what kind of timer you're using. They all set the RPM, and you set it yourself on the ground, whatever you want it to be.
And then the active timer system will adjust it as it senses load or G's. It'll adjust and give you more or less RPM. You get more brakes and you get more acceleration where it's required. It's an amazing system.
Kind of like doing a 242.
Yes.
Yeah, except it's much quicker because the 2.4 requires the engine, the fuel to fall away, the engine to starve and pull, and it's a much longer cycle. The electric thing happens in 4 microseconds.
Right, but it's still as the load comes on, it produces more power.
Yep, instantly.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, see, around here,
what you guys need to develop is when it's coming downhill, it generates power back into the battery.
Yeah, like that's not far off.
Where you guys all fly, I mean, around here, all the flying fields where you could fly the gas power, they've all gone to electric because of noise ordinance.
Yep.
So
I have a field a quarter mile from my house, this direction here, and I can fly there now at 6 o'clock in the morning, and it's surrounded by other houses. No one even knows I'm there. I couldn't do this low.
I put a video on just now a few minutes ago when I was doing some practice. I was on my way back home and I have like 4 batteries that I haven't used. So I said, heck, I pulled over on my way home on a flying field, and so I burned 4 flights back to back. Boom, boom, boom. And I mean, I can run the batteries. The only way to discharge them is either on a machine, and I don't know how long it's going to take, or it has a safe stop off or something like that. Or I can run the motor on the ground. I said, if I run the motor on the ground, I might as well just run it in the air. It just gets up.
They say that's not good for it, though, to run the motor on the ground. They say it's not a good thing to do. Get a discharger that you can discharge it at home. It's much better for the battery.
Why?
I don't know. Dean Pappas told me that, though, and he's an electronic engineer. So he said, do never run them on the ground for more than a few seconds at a time.
What?
I'll have to ask him why.
Maybe it's an overheat thing. I don't know.
I have
my battery
overheating the load.
It makes no sense.
Well, I'll find out why.
Well, I found out it overheats the load based on it. It wants the cooling system in the air, and it overheats on the load just being on the ground with no airflow going through it. Because you're probably the airflow too.
I'll make a point to ask Dean, but he told me never to do it. So
I know that when something isn't moving through the air, there's a higher load on the engine or the motor.
Motor.
Yeah, there'd be a higher load on that motor.
Not engines, your motors.
What's the average charge time on those?
What do you mean average?
Well, I mean, I don't know how you got to do. How many?
It depends on your battery. It depends on what your C rating is on your battery.
Right.
I charge mine at about 3C. So if you had let's say for our argument's sake, you have a 4,000 milliamp pack. So you're charging 1C would be 4 amps, and then 2C would be 8, and 3C would be 12. So I charge 6 of them at one time on a para board, and it takes me about 15 minutes. So while I'm putting stuff in the car, I'm charging 6 batteries.
Yeah, well, that's great because I got some, these little electric helicopters, and some of them, it takes 90 minutes to charge up, and you get 15 minutes flight. So
first off, a lot of these chargers will be charging through the balance plug, and that takes forever. And also, a lot of them are charging at 1C or below. And today's batteries, with the low impedance they have, you can charge them at higher C rates safely. Hey, I wouldn't want to charge it at 6C, but certainly at 3 or 4C is not a problem at all.
Yeah, I'm just curious. If you're out on the field, out of the field, and you've only got 2 battery packs with you, how many flights could you get in in a day's time?
Well, the key to that is to get more batteries.
Well, yeah, I'm just curious.
On a quick charge?
I don't know. I'm field man. If I can't smell it or hear it, I don't want to fly it.
Well, that's personal preference, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Well, you charge them on a quick charge? when you're doing that?
Well, not a quick charge. Well, I mean, it's at a 3C rate. And if you want to call that a quick charge, I mean, it's...
Well, just the way I have a 4-port charger. My 4-port charger, I can do it where I can do it to a balance port setting, or you can do it
Don't go to the balance port. That's ridiculous.
No, you plug the leads in and you balance the battery at the same time that you're charging it.
Yeah.
It's about an hour to do that, to charge it that way. But if you want to go through it, I have another section.
First off, get it, whatever you have, put it away. Get a Pro Lab. Get a Pro Lab and get
I have an AC Pro high tech.
And get a Cell Pro Pro Lab and get a good para board, and you can charge 6 at one time at 2 or 3C. It's very safe.
I can charge 4 batteries at once on this, but I can also charge them on a quick charge and at the same time as I'm doing that. I've just been cautious about the battery so I don't burn the cells out on it or puff them up.
Well,
I just charged a 12-volt battery.
I'm a cheapskate. I bought this, and this was $150. It charges 4 simultaneously.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, it's good enough. It's 100 watt per channel, so this is what I have. It gets the job done for me. I think
most of the guys that are doing this serious are using Pro Labs, and they're using at least a 6-position para board.
Now, are they charged from a 12-volt battery, like or do you have to have a power inverter or something to charge those?
This has
you can get a field charger that'll work off 12-volt batteries.
This is the regular stuff too. This is into the wall, and this is if I want to use a battery. And actually, I took a jumper cable, I cut it, and I soldered and made an attachment to it that's going to plug right in here.
Yeah.
So when I'm on a field, I have a table that unfolds. I set this on over there. I just put this on here and put it on the jumper cables on the car battery, and I run with that.
The only thing you got to be careful of is if you fly a long time during the day, you might not get home at night because your battery will be dead in your car.
But you know, most of the time when I go,
and don't ask me how I know that.
How do you know that?
Yeah, Bob, how do you know that?
I said, don't ask me how I know that.
See, this is my battery charger. I take about 4.5 ounces, put it in, wait for the engine to cool, and go.
Hey, let me take.
Have you noticed, Jamie? Have you noticed, Jamie, that there's no more horse-drawn carriages out on the road?
Hey, let me interrupt y'all for a second. Doran, something you might not know when you're watching people who are showing you something, like you were just showing us that box on the screen. If somebody's showing something that you want to see, but their image isn't large, if you will mouse down to their little thumbnail and click on it once, it'll get a white border around it, and they'll be on your picture, it'll be locked big so you can see big what they're looking at. When you get through looking at them, then click on it one more time, and the white border will go away, and it'll be back to defaulting to whoever's making the most noise.
Just let me see.
Okay.
Ta-da! What do you know? Look at that.
Right.
Yeah. This is the CPU3 400.
Now, see, all I see is me now because I'm making the most noise. But if I click on you, on your thumbnail, now it's locked big on my screen. I can see you, and that's what I'm broadcasting to my YouTube viewers too. When I get through looking at whoever's giving us a show and tell, I click on it again, make the white border go away, and it's all back to normal. It just defaults between who makes the most noise, unless you lock it in with a click like that.
Got it. I understand that. Okay.
And then when everybody's talking at once, the computer on the wall, what the hell to do?
Yeah, it'll be jumping back.
I wear this red MAGA hat. Make airplanes great again.
Yeah.
I love it. Love it. Who was that? You know, somebody on Stunt News that was bitching about Howard. Somebody took a picture of Howard, you know, flipping the bird to somebody. Right?
Yeah.
And just a joke or something. They were just, you know how we're messing around.
Oh, Howard's just Howard, you know.
And somebody got over there like, well, should we have this in Stunt or whatever? And I said, maybe we should make a safe room in a pavilion for those moping.
This whole country needs to lighten up.
Just killing me.
The whole country needs to lighten up. Lighten up.
They're losing their head. You know, and see, the problem is I'm coming from a communist country. I know what the fuck that is. Pardon my French. Oops, this is going to be on YouTube. I'm busted now. But you know what? When I see you going in that direction, I mean, come on.
Well, and we won't get into politics, but you know.
Yeah. All right.
We can make airplanes great again.
Yeah.
That's what I'm all about.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to take another trip and go to Illinois to Mark McKinney and build the number three plane.
Mm-hmm.
We are going to try to do the painting in a mold this time.
Mm-hmm.
And put all the stripes, all the paint, stuff like that, then mold the parts and get the plane out of mold already painted and stuff like that.
That'd be cool. That'd be really neat.
Yeah, will save me a lot of work and hassle. When we made the number two, we used the two-part clear, automotive clear, to shoot clear into the mold before we laid the parts. And when the parts came out, oh my God. Just unbelievable. Yeah.
Wow.
We are pretty consistent now. I mean, we have a wing panel that's, keep this in mind. This plane is over 40 inches long. This plane is, how long is it?
The wingspan, you mean?
Huh?
Wingspan or the length?
The wingspan is 52, I think.
Well, that's a pretty small airplane.
No, 62.
Oh, 62. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it's a 62-inch wingspan, 710 square inches.
Wow. Why so big?
Originally, I just was building it to be a little bit bigger than like for a 70 size motor. The original design was concept for a 77 power plant. And later on, it kind of morphed into electric. And I kind of saw, I said, yeah, so I built this specific for electric, this one. I changed the whole concept.
You know what Billy Werwage says about large airplanes?
Mm.
He says, if you build an airplane that's bigger than you are, sooner or later, it's going to whoop you.
Yeah, had that happen to me. It was called a Magnum.
Yeah, I used to fly 720 square inch Genesis too. And a heavy wind, that would beat you to death in a day's practice. So.
You see this comparison?
There you are. Yeah.
That's the Revolution on one side. That's an Intrepid on the other side.
Wow.
The tail is a lot longer.
Yeah, look at that difference.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice airplane, Dorian. It really is.
Thanks. Yeah, I mean, it's just like right now I'm at about around 59 ounces on it. It's 59 ounces on 710 square inches.
That's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your new airplane that weighs 53?
Same thing.
Wow.
And we keep finding ways to make it even lighter if we want to. But
yeah, you're filling them things with helium. I know you are. That's the secret. You got little balloons in there, and you're filling them up inside the ribs.
He's got an airplane-shaped bladder inside of it. He just
There are some people out there who will say you can build a stunt model too light. Here's what I say. I say it's possible to build a stunt model too light, but no one has ever done it.
Well, right now I was playing with the control system on it because I have how can I say? I have an expo system, exponential system in it, and depending on my bearing can float from one side to the other, so I can adjust the distance from the secondary axis to the bearing position. And I made that because I didn't know what I'm gonna have, what I'm gonna like. So the idea was to find a position, something that a setup that I really, really like. And after that, I can make a custom piece just for that one setup, which is going to be a lot lighter.
How do you like the Expo? Is it Expo or logarithmic?
It's Expo.
It's Expo.
I have a lot of Expo in it right now. I'm running on the flaps. I run maybe 20 degrees deflection. The elevator maybe 23, 25 on the elevator, and it's very
at full throw. What do you get?
23, 20.
Okay.
20 on the flaps, 23 on the elevator. It's very little deflection.
Have you seen? I've flown a lot of these sharks lately that have like 80 degrees of elevator deflection.
Holy shit!
I mean, they're like air brakes. And when I first flew one,
like straight up
of Jose Modesto's that was being set up for arrestees, and he actually lent it to me. And I'm thinking to myself, well, this thing's going to be so touchy with that much elevator movement, I won't be able to fly it. And it turns out it felt like the Queen Mary out there. I felt like I couldn't turn it at all until I hit the up lever, and then the thing just like rotated and stopped. It was an amazing feeling in an airplane. And
that's the issue I have with the shark. I took a look at the shark, and that was the issue I had with the shark. I think shark has a design flaw built into it, and the design flaw is this inline bullshit concept. Okay.
Well, I totally agree with the inline. Yeah. Totally agree with it.
Yeah. Because you have an elevator that's supposed to keep your plane flying flat and nice and level, and is behind the wing, flying into the wing wake turbulence.
Nah, I've flown them and they fly better. They fly better in every respect than the other ones do.
So because of that, this is what I'm thinking. Because of that, you need to move the CG forward to stop it from hunting and going all over the place.
I haven't experienced any hunting.
Yeah, because the shark is set up with the CG forward, a lot of forward CG. And now because the CG forward is so far forward, doesn't want to turn, and the Queen Mary comment kind of comes to mind right now. And then you have to deflect the shit out of this control system, control surfaces to make it to turn, right? So that's, I'm not. This is something I didn't really buy about.
There's different strokes for different folks, but I'm totally sold on the inline setup. I've flown inline airplanes for many years. I've had them for back into the early 70s, and in every respect they were easier to trim and they flew better. And the only reason we went away from inline setups was because we moved the motor thrust line up from the wing center line because we went to larger props. And the larger props required more ground clearance, and they required a lot longer landing gear. So now we're going back to smaller diameter props, moving everything back in line, and they just fly better. There's no question about that in my mind.
I was watching a TV program last night, and it had to do with dinosaurs. But I had this one dinosaur with two flippers.
Yeah.
And they took it was an aerospace guy or whatever. He made models of them and put them in water, air, whatever. And he found out that the back flipper had twice as much control thrust as the front one.
Wow.
It had something to do with rotating the water, and it didn't stick to the surface. So inline, if that did actually fall in that wake, that may make that elevator touchy.
Yeah.
I'm not a rocket scientist, but he was
What you're trying to say is that stunt flyers were all dinosaurs.
We are.
No,
it's better than being an Amish.
Here's my 2 cents into this, okay?
Yeah.
You have you have the inline system and the classical, you know, motor up, wing low, elevator up, right? And I talked to Wendy before I made the decision on where to put my elevator on, and I talked to him. He said the following: he said that he built a Cardinal in 1990, 92, some of it, the yellow one, anyways, which was inline everything, right? And he said it wouldn't lock, it wouldn't track. It would
Yeah, but that's just one airplane. He could have built incidents into it too.
Okay, true. But he said, like, then he moved the elevator up, and the higher it went, the better it got.
You mean the stabilizer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The horizontal. He moved the horizontal.
Again, that's one airplane, and you're comparing maybe apples to bowling balls. You know, I mean, top 5 airplanes at the Worlds this year were inline airplanes.
Okay.
You know, so.
Well, I'm you know, I have a little bit. I had a completely you know. Also, Wendy told me that his best plane that would track, would lock, would turn the best was the Tiger Cat. And the only thing the Tiger Cat had different from the other ones had a super high elevator flying in clean air, and it was very.
With all due respect, Wendy never won anything, you know. So I mean, you know, with all due respect, you know.
Yeah, but yeah, well, I think he was.
He was an okay flyer, but
he was also doing a lot of.
Paul Walker or Bill Werwage or David Fitzgerald or Orestes or Igor, you know, there's a different level.
They don't do mistakes. You know? That's why they win. They don't do mistakes.
You know, there's a different level out there.
You know. Yeah, I always thought it'd be nice to somehow make an airplane to where you could plug different tails on it, to where the tail would unattach and attach, so where you can try it.
It'd be a good test bed to do that, you know.
Yeah.
But you look at Walker, who's pretty good flyer, and he's gone all in line. So has Chris Cox. So has the Sanko brothers. And they're all in line now, and they're all with thinner wings and more angle of deflection in the elevators. I mean, they must have, the corners they're turning and the lock they're getting is unbelievable. So there must be something to it.
Well, I think the thinner wing will give you less turbulence.
I think a little thinner wing just gives you less drag. The reason we were using those big, thick watermelon wings was for drag.
Right.
To prevent the airplane from whipping up in the wind. Now we have onboard active timer systems that do that for us. We don't need them big, thick wings anymore.
Well, but I think a thick wing, once you change the pitch of it, is going to make a lot more turbulence than a thinner wing.
Yeah, it's like, well, I think I don't know if it's a thick wing or if it's a wider wing. A wider wing will cause more turbulence when you turn. It's like a ping pong paddle. Take a ping pong paddle and you take a ruler and you get a 50-gallon aquarium, all right? And you take the ping pong paddle on edge and pull it through the aquarium and try to turn it. And you're going to get so much pressure, so much displacement of water fore and after the center of pressure. Let's say you're doing an inside turn. So you're going to get pressure on the front of the top and the rear of the bottom. And it will displace a lot of water and slow down and cause some turbulence. Now you take the ruler and pull it through the water edgewise and turn it. It'll flick turn. It'll flick turn because there's so little resistance to turn. And there's so little pressure on either side of the center of pressure, top and bottom of that ruler. It'll just flick turn. Now, but having said that, the ping pong paddle, when you turn it, will stabilize instantly, where the ruler will not. Yeah. So there's other factors that come into play.
What about
the air a lot easier?
What's that?
The thinner wing will go through the air a lot easier.
Yeah, it's less drag.
It's less drag. I always found too, flying in wind and so forth. I can fly through heavier winds with a thinner wing than a thicker wing.
Yeah, it tows easier. It takes less power, less thrust to pull it through the air.
The power you're using, less drag.
Yeah.
It's not like all of a sudden hitting the big deflection on the big wing and taking it like a kite across the circle.
And hence, that's why everybody's, now that they have these active timer systems, are going to thinner wings. You don't need a big thick wing anymore. You got to build it light enough too.
I found the thinner wing works a lot easier.
And you got to build it light enough.
Yeah, it has to be light enough. That was a big thing. I mean, when I was seen there in France, One of the big thing was is that these other kids were flying airplanes that weighed 10 ounces less.
Yep.
Made a big difference on the turn and everything else. How
Sure.
hard?
What about lift? Does the thin wing and the thick wing, would the thinner wing have to have more speed to get more lift?
No, if you build a light airplane, you don't need a big thick wing. I mean, just
right. Okay.
Yeah.
Look at gliders. Gliders don't have very thick wings, and they're super efficient, and they have a ton of lift. Have you seen the glider doing a dash between two pylons at 100 meters apart in like 15 seconds, 10 laps?
Yep.
I mean, they turn.
Yep.
Oh yeah. One time I went up for a glider flight, and this guy took me through stuff. I'm like, oh my god! When he was doing barrel rolls with that glider, loops, all kinds of stuff, and I'm like, I'm just waiting for this thing to come out of the sky because it's like we can't be doing all this stuff and make it back to that field. and he had to make the airplane come down. I mean, that thing had so much lift and so much performance that.
It put the spoilers on to get it to come down, yeah.
Yeah, but I was afraid. I could barely see the airport, and I'm like, oh my god, we're walking a long ways if we can get this thing out.
Yeah, I love flying in gliders and sailplanes.
Man, yeah.
Well, at any rate, all these glow guys are falling asleep here, so let's talk glow for a while.
Hey, it's a popular subject now. We might as well support it.
Well, the one thing about it is that no matter how you build the airplane, glow or electric, you got to get the weight down. They got to come up with better ways to.
Yeah, we're putting way too much wood in our airplanes. Way too much wood. Or Doran's got the right idea of what he's doing. He's got a whole different way of doing it, and it's the way of the future.
Are you building composite fuselages and stuff, Doran?
Everything is composite.
Oh, okay.
Fuselage is molded, the nose is molded, the wings are molded, the horizontal is molded, everything is molded in composite. I don't have a piece of balsa in a whole plane. Oh yeah, I have a spar of balsa in a wing, a vertical wall.
Oh, is yours the black one that you painted a little bit of paint on it? It's all black carbon fiber?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So what are you, a tool and die guy or?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I couldn't believe all the machining and all that stuff for the molds, and it's like
look at that thing on Stunthangar, that thread on his airplane. He's a genius. He really is.
I know. I've been. It's like into 4 pages now. I was looking at it last night. I didn't realize it is.
I think it's more than 4 pages. It's a lot of pages.
A lot of pages. I know they were asking when you were going to start selling them.
Yeah.
You got all the molds.
Yeah, I have the molds. Actually, the molds are in Illinois right now with Mark McKinney. He actually is a sponsor of the project, and I kind of put in the brain work and the general work into it.
Oh, that's the one that Chris Rudd's doing.
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
I heard about that last year. Yeah. I didn't realize I thought they were doing the molds. I didn't realize you were doing them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing stuff.
Man, Bob, I wish I could send it to you and to trim it out a little bit better and see if you can get more performance.
Yeah, I wish you could too.
I probably will. I mean, just I was flying it. I was playing with the Expo in it, and what I'm trying to achieve a very soft center. So you have a nice soft center, nice control loops, and nice tracking in horizontal.
Increase the throw for the squares. Yeah.
And then as you if you hit it, it's just gonna be. And I think I got it.
Werwage had an Expo system in his USA 1 back in '81, the year he won the nationals with it, and it was amazing the corners he had, because it was and when it got to a certain point, it would accelerate the elevator, and man, he was doing amazing squares and yet incredibly smooth loops.
Yes. Yes, it's like right now I have a very easy time doing the loops. It's not, you can correct it and whatever, you know. The
I'd love to
nice.
fly it.
Yeah, the placing is nice and composed, and when I hit the corners, the plane is just like pow, which is, I mean, it's so fast. It's so fast it's almost, I anticipated to come out of my, because my eyes can't keep up with it that fast, you know. I mean, it just goes like pow. I know. You have like a certain just.
Are you using the same expo system that Chris Rudd's using?
That's logarithmic in a flaps probably.
Yeah.
It's opposite. Logarithmic has more at the center and less at the tip, at the endpoints. And I think logarithmic is the concept to it is to give you mechanical advantage, so you can actually use brute force to push the controls.
Right.
Oh, okay.
More or less, yeah, because it's less sensitive at the end, more in the center. So
I'd love to fly. I'd love to fly your airplane. I really would.
It's Bob. I flew it for the first time at the Nats, and Sunday we put the maiden flight on it. We put like 4 or 5 flights to try 2-3 different props. We found out that we didn't have enough ground clearance, so we went back to the 11-inch prop and set up a lap time. That's all we did. And that afternoon we went to the L pad and we flew the first pattern on it. Flight number 5.
And where did you end up?
5th.
5th? That's not bad. That's not bad.
Yeah, now, I was scoring 1,000 and was 535 points.
Yeah, points don't mean anything to me. You know.
Now,
anyways, I was doing quite well with it. I mean, I was like, as I was getting more and more comfortable with it, and I was quickly moving up in getting more comfortable with it. The level of getting from knowing the plane and then just flying it was so fast, was unbelievable, and it's effortless in the air, Bob.
Yeah, I heard nothing but good things about it, you know, and
what wing is that? Is that your own design of a wing, or is that a copy of a USA 1 wing, or?
No, it's my own design. It's completely different from what we currently use. A lot of stunt planes use this constant chord concept, where the chord is kind of constant throughout the wingspan. And what happens with that is that if you look at the lift distribution on the wing, you have a lot of lift on the wingtips. So because you have a lot of lift concentrated towards the wingtips, when you fly in a wind, the plane is dancing back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. That's because as soon as the one wingtip sees a little bit extra lift, I mean, the difference is so great. You know, every time you see them flying in a wind, they do this number, right? Kind of dancing up and down. And I thought there was one of it, so I was trying to get rid of it. Coming from the glider, you know, being in a glider world for a few years, I learned about this thing called lift distribution. And as you concentrate the lift towards the center of the plane, then the plane starts to behave, flies better, and it's far more efficient, right? And for electric, I said, well, this should be something good. So what I've done with my wing is actually, if you look at the top of it, it's almost like a SV wing that has a little bit extra wingspan, a couple of inches per side. That's about it. The difference between the two of them. But the thickness, my root thickness, is 2.25 inches. On the tip, it's 1 inch and 3/8 or something like that. It's very thin on the wingtip. And
that's also in line with current practice too. Go to a lot of thinner tips.
Yeah, just get it thin towards the tip, and hopefully I was trying to get it to fly better in a wind. How much have I accomplished that? I don't know, because I didn't fly in a whole lot of wind lately. So I'm still trimming and practicing with stuff like that. But
keep it up, man. I'm gonna have to jump here tonight. I gotta jump off, but it's been good seeing you again.
Good seeing you too, Bob.
For a long time, you know.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, you
Yeah,
know,
man, we love getting new people in here, and you know, y'all all always bring in different subjects, different,
Doran's got a lot
different
of good
knowledge
thinking.
from the rest of us.
Doran's got some great thinking going on there.
Yeah, yeah. Make yourself at home in here. Come anytime, Dory.
okay, cool. Thanks.
What time is it there right now, Doran?
What?
What time is it in Romania?
No, I'm in Georgia right now, and I live
Oh,
in.
you're in Georgia. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Same
it's
time.
30.
Oh, okay. I thought you were in Romania right now, and I'm like, holy cow.
You've been over here for a long time, haven't you? Doran?
Check this out.
How long have you been over here in the States?
This is a glider wing panel which I molded. Okay,
Wow. Is that an Epler section?
What?
Is that an Epler section? Epler airfoil?
No, no. This is a Zone V2, which is a specialized airfoil for discus launch gliders. This is a DLG.
Okay.
This is painted in a mold, and this is the kind of surface you get out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Holy cow.
Wow, looks
All
pretty
right,
good.
guys. Charles, be good. Eddie,
I
be
will,
good.
man.
Jerry, be
Yeah,
good.
thanks
James?
for coming in, Will. See you next time.
Steve?
Yep.
Buddy, be good, guys.
See you Friday, Bob.
Yeah, Bob.
Amen.
So,
So you're
Chris
looking
and them
at
have your molds right now. Did you make them for them, or is this something they just want to test for you?
what? This wing?
No, the molds of your new airplane.
Ah, no. Mark wants to build some planes, so I gave him the molds, and he's going to build them over there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean he sponsored the project, so I was over there with him a week, and in 1 week we built the whole plane. And and that's while gaggling around and just taking our sweet little time. But anyways,
Make me feel bad. Make me feel slow.
no, I mean
he did it in a week, Charles. It was
I know. I'm listening. I'm like, wow.
You know how much time is to make this?
How long?
This wing? If you have the molds and materials, it takes me about 15 minutes to cut the core on a CNC machine. This is a foam core inside that's cut on a CNC machine to the perfect size, maybe 30 thousandths over size.
Right.
And you mold this whole wing in about half an hour.
Wow.
Wow. Do you leave the foam in it?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
It has a solid core wing. It's called a solid core constructions. In molding, you have so many different types of constructions that you have to your disposal. You can do inflation bladder, which has like a balloon inside that pushes the material against the mold sides.
Yeah.
Obviously, you have the vacuum bagging, which you can do a piece of foam and laminate it on top and bottom, and you can make a part.
Yeah.
Or you can do just a shell. What we use in our plane is this type of construction. We make two shells and then we join them together in a mold.
Right. Well, I know that I've seen some where they put styrofoam in it, put it in a mold, got it done, and then they melted the styrofoam out with a like a lacquer thinner or a hot thinner to get the foam melted out of it.
Yeah, that's how can I say? It's not even molding. It's just kind of hacking it up. Yeah. that's hacking it up, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, you have you can do compression molding. You don't do inflation bladder. You can do vacuum bagging. You can do a vacuum bagging with a solid cores or do shells and then join them together to make the wing. We use a lot of that in our plane. We do vacuum bagging on both sides and then we join the two halves together.
Okay. Who do you work for there in Georgia?
Huh?
Who do you work for there in Georgia?
I work at Philips.
Oh, okay.
It's Philips Respironics, so we do medical equipment.
All right.
And in particular, what I do over there, I'm their prototype machinist.
Ah, all right. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Is that a CPAP machine, Dorian?
Huh?
Is that a CPAP machine?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's what I use. Philips CPAP machines. Yeah.
Ah, yeah, cool. Yeah, we make it. Yeah, I work for the company. That's the company I work for. Yeah.
Wow. I thought maybe you worked for some company that did something with molding or whatever, to where you really got to know how to do that.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, think about like if you try to take on a project like this, what do you need? Okay, you need somebody, an engineer, to put a thinking together. You need somebody with CAD knowledge to put everything in a computer on a CAD design. Then you need somebody to machine the parts, right? Then you need somebody to do the composite work, right?
Yeah.
And that maybe some painting knowledge and stuff like that. So to find a person that has all of those in one person, there are a handful of people around the world that could actually do that.
Right.
And so we are a very rare breed. But if you want to do something like this, you probably have to gather a team around you with people of different knowledges. Like maybe you know somebody that's an engineer and does CAD. Maybe you know someone that's good at composites and has some knowledge of done something over there. Maybe you know somebody that does CNC machining, and it doesn't have to be too expensive because CNC machines now you can buy one. They're pretty readily available if you want to buy one and use it to make molds out of it. They cost about $3,000 or $4,000, but now you have to justify the purchase.
Right. Yeah, that was what my brother was talking about. That we were at one of these hobby places and they had a CNC with just a little motor on it that would cut foam and all that kind of stuff for molds, and you know, but he was saying that, you know, to get one that did it in metal would be just so expensive, you know, to cut it on metal, that they got the small ones that'll cut foam and everything, but
I wouldn't even use metal anymore. The last molds I made, they were made out of a tooling. It's called tooling board, and in the composite industry, they use this tooling board to make molds out of them. So they CNC cut them, then they polish them, and some of them are very porous. So you have to spray them with something to take the pores out, and
oh, okay.
And to you know, to stop the you know, from being porous, right? But I kind of lucked out, and I found out this tooling board that's you can polish it to a mold quality grade.
Wow.
So that was the reason for which I started to use it. And price wise, I think we spent about $270 for one piece of this tooling board, but it's significant in size. It's 72-inch long by 16.5 wide and 2-inch thick. So it's a huge chunk of material.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and with that, I mean, out of that one piece, I mean, you can easily do a whole fuselage mold of whatever stunter you want to have. From the other piece, you can do all the other parts that you need, the wings and the elevator. So, and because I try to simplify things and I try to get it in a, you know, I didn't make two panels for the wings, one short, one longer. So I kept them equal span, equal everything, basically.
Oh, okay.
Just to simplify things, because otherwise, if I want to do that, I have to make another mold.
Right.
So yeah. For me, I had a lot of goals that I wanted to meet. I want to have interchangeable parts, like on a gun, right?
Yeah.
If one part breaks, you make another one, you plug it in, put the bolt in, and you're back in business, kind of thing.
Right. You don't want an English shotgun.
Whatever.
you want a German shotgun, where you got interchangeable parts instead of an English one where they're all handmade and whoever built the gun.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
You know, they gotta make the part for it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, the wings on this plane, they come out of the mold at 136 grams.
Wow.
That is a 9.5 ounces wing.
Wow.
Complete. And that's covered and painted.
Now, does that have anything in? Is it completely hollow inside, or is there?
Yeah. All I have the two shells like this, and I have a vertical wall that kind of bridges the top and the bottom, stop it from squishing down.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Do you make your wings? Are your wings symmetrical, or is the outboard wing shorter than the inboard wings?
Equal everything.
Equal span.
Wow.
Now, how about for landing gear? Do you have a deal that can be put in the wing, or you got to go to fuse mount landing gear?
It's fuselage mounted.
Oh, okay.
I'll show you.
Yeah, show us. That'd be great.
Yeah, it makes all look bad.
It's a big transition from the average nobler.
So this is the landing gear here.
Oh, very nice.
And
let me click on you there. Gotcha. Okay.
And
Yeah,
it's
it has a nice wide span to it.
It's airfoiled.
Oh, okay.
Very nice.
But I mean, it's nice and wide, is what I like.
Oh, okay, yeah.
The span of it.
And I can put it like this, or I can flip it up, put this one over here and this one over there, and that's gonna move them back or forth because they'll have a little bias to them.
For grass or
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's excellent.
So if I want to go right now, it's for grass. If I was to go and fly on concrete or paved runway, all I would do, I just take this guy here. Come on. Oops. I would just take this guy here and just put it like this.
And it's about what, a half-inch difference?
Yeah.
So what's the difference actually in doing that? What's the difference in grass and asphalt or concrete? I've only flown on grass, so I don't know.
You want it more forward for grass.
Forward on grass.
Yeah, keeps it from flipping over when you land, for one thing.
Okay, so why can't you use? Why wouldn't you use the same on asphalt?
You can get a smoother landing if it's farther back.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I can speak from experience. It would bounce.
And for the tail wheel, it's actually a very simple system. You can probably use this in your plane.
Oh wow, I like that.
Yeah. One of our builders, Don Jenkins, was having trouble with one of his planes jumping off the ground too fast when he was taking off, and he made a slidable insert for the tail wheel so he could make the tail sit higher or lower. And so he raised the tail up and it rolled out more smoothly and lifted gently off the ground instead of just jumping up.
Yeah, and if you're really fanatic about it, you can make different tails.
Yeah,
Right.
a buddy of mine has about the same thing. He took one of these new hinge cutters that are shaped like that, and he pokes it up in there and does something, and he epoxies it or whatever to get it hard, and then he can plug in his tail wheel. But yeah, that's a slick way you do yours. Yours is a lot easier. How he's got to mess with it out.
Rusty was just saying I did that with my Thunder Gazer. I made my tail wheel adjustable, so if I wanted to raise it or lower it for prop clearance.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You tell a lot of difference when you did it.
Yeah, I could go all the way. I could raise it and lower it and change the prop clearance.
So now, does the nose come off of that? It comes off the airplane, right? The nose separates off at the wing?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's Let me see how can I do this.
Now that's okay. You don't got to pull it all apart.
No big
I
deal.
want to pull it apart.
You don't have to pull it all apart.
Yeah.
Pull it apart.
I want to see everything.
All right, this is another
So
idea
we
that
can
I
see
have.
what he's doing. Okay, I got you clicked up, Dory.
Let me,
See what it is, Charles? You're going to have to take a flight someplace where the molds are at. And then within a few hours, you're going to have your whole airplane molded. And it'll be
be
BOM.
a week. Not a few hours, but a week, yeah.
About a weekend. Hey, well, sure as beat everything else.
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah, that's slick.
That looks good.
All
That
right.
main gear, Dorn, does that snap in and out? I mean, how does that work? I see how the tail wheel works. I've seen that before, but I haven't seen
The
main
landing
gear
gear?
like that.
Is there a button you have to push, or is it like a ball bearing that holds up?
Nothing. You just push it in. It has a nice friction to it.
Oh, okay.
That's all.
Oh, I thought you had a little catch inside somewhere.
So when I go fly, I just do a half a turn here, about half a turn on this side. There you go.
Wow.
I saw a Straker do that in midair one time.
I go fly, I just take my wires out. Battery goes in. Connect. And I'm putting inside like that. See the battery's in now?
Yeah.
Wow.
And then I'm connecting my timer. And I'm ready to go fly. And this is just half a turn kind of thing.
Wow.
That's your design too?
There you go. It's ready to fly now.
That's incredible. I like that a lot.
You know, one thing about that is that if you wanted to leave your model at the field, you could just take the nose off, put it in your pocket. Nobody just steal half an airplane.
Kind of like the face plate off your radio in your truck.
Wow, that is really neat.
So this is the nose idea. So the idea was that I could put a hatch here, right?
Yeah.
And drop the battery all the way down there and close the hatch. And then I said, if I still do this, I was going to take the nose off just to make it smaller for $1, kind of a down. And I said, if I take the nose off, why not slide the battery from over there and just call it a day? And I have a better structure, integrity, and everything.
That is really slick. It really is.
I love it. Yeah.
Well, one thing about it is you could almost make a nose and make it for an IC engine.
Yes, I can definitely do that.
Yeah.
What's the purpose of that opening at the back back of the fuse, and the back of the fuse on the bottom?
Let air out, just for cooling.
Yeah, I have the cooling that comes through the motor.
Yeah.
Spinner, and goes through the motor down, and it also comes from the bottom here.
You got a lot of opening in there, and you're just cooling it through the back. Then, okay.
So this goes directly to over the ESC, which is right in front of it here, and then the battery is behind the ESC directly. So the airflow is very clean. It has no obstructions, nothing, and also the air goes around the battery because the battery only has like 4 rails in the 4 corners. That's it.
Oh, okay.
So I have
now, did you paint the airplane afterwards, or did you paint it in the molds and then?
This one is after. I mean, this is the prototype. It's the first plane we pull out of the mold.
Oh, okay.
That's what we call the number 1.
So you could do it both ways. It doesn't really matter.
Yes, but I would rather do it in a mold.
Oh, okay.
It turns out 100 times better. So
So Darn, the formers, are they made out of carbon fiber?
What?
The formers or bulkheads inside the structure?
Yeah.
Is that carbon fiber?
I only have 3 in a whole plane. I have one here, and one in the front of the fuselage. That's it.
Wow.
And
And
if
they're
you
made out
look-
of carbon fiber?
Yeah. No, that's G10. But
Oh, the G material?
the future generation will be carbon fiber.
How's your wing attached to the fuselage?
Same principle I have here with the locks. Only have one on top, bottom, and another one on the back. It's kind of like.
Oh, so you can take the whole plane apart.
Yeah, the wings come out. They're plug-in wings.
Oh, wow.
Here, this comes off. Obviously, you can take the propeller out. The landing gear comes out. The tail wheel comes out, and the horizontal comes out too. It's also.
Well, shit, you can just take that damn thing apart and put it in a suitcase and take it with you.
Yep. The horizontal is very simple.
Shout out to Chris Hornady. He's been watching us for the past few minutes, and I didn't even notice he joined us. But hey, Chris, how you doing tonight? Chris Hornady's down in Florida, and he's probably watching us from work. He's a security officer, Air Force, I believe.
Well, Gerald, you're gonna have to take a vacation to the United States and build a couple of them for your boys.
I think I'd just rather buy a Brodeck ARF when I got there. At least I'll understand it.
Yeah, that is just too cool. I mean, it's so simple.
That's a screw. That's the horizontal.
Holy cow.
All I have is just a single screw holding it.
That is so much nice.
About this plane on Stunthangar.
Yeah, it's on there, but you can't see as much as this. This is super cool how he's doing all this. You can really see it on the video. I'll tell you what, Rusty, when you put this on YouTube, put something on Stunthangar where the guys can go and watch this.
I'll put the timestamps on it where he shows the plane. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can actually make it so when you click the video, it starts at this timestamp.
Where is this at on Stunthangar?
And if you can see that,
I see that.
The control holes are permanently inside.
Yeah.
Right.
So what else?
Well, what about connecting to the control horn, to the belt crank?
What?
What about connecting with the belt crank? When you take the wings apart.
Well, let's see if I can do that. Just give me a second.
Sure.
You didn't know you were going to get a workout tonight, did you? That'll teach you to come on here and talk to us guys who don't know anything.
Nah, there's no such thing.
Things change, and it's a huge amount of technology in it, a big transition for a lot of people.
Were you saying earlier that this whole plane's made out of composite materials?
It's carbon fiber.
Yeah, and not wood.
And I said he had what, one piece of in there.
Yeah, the wing.
And the wing is what? Styrofoam with CF covering?
No, it's clamshell.
Okay.
This is hollow molded everything.
Yeah, hollow molded.
I tell you what, these Europeans are beating the crap out of us technology-wise.
Yeah. Luckily, we have someone here from Romania to help us out.
When Wayne started flying, after I went on the, down on the bench, and Wayne didn't have anybody to fly with, he started getting interested in sailplanes because he's been a full-size pilot and a sailplane pilot of some serious accomplishment. And so he's gotten back into that, and he was amazed at how well built the European models were compared to what he was used to back in the day.
All right, so here's the quick and dirty. I just use my screwdriver, about half a turn.
Half turn, yeah.
And that's going to release the bottom of the wing. If I go
What's that fastener called, I wonder?
This is a custom-made fastener that I made.
I thought it was made in IKEA. I mean, the furniture type of screw.
Yeah, it's kind of like the cam locks that you find on furniture.
The wing comes off.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, but you still have your lead outs connected.
So let me show you. I'm not sure. Can you see it now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
See the front?
Lower the camera just a little bit. We can only see the top of. There we go. That's good.
So
Wow.
bringing this out.
Oh, get out of town. That's pretty nice.
And this is spring loaded, so it's going to stay closed.
Oh,
we lost your picture.
Yeah, we lost your picture, Dorian.
That's all classified.
Yeah.
Yeah, there must be over there.
Can you still hear us, Dorian?
Oh no.
He must have had a power blip.
Well, I bet you he bumped his camera and or turned something off. That's pretty funny. It's all classified, yeah.
Black helicopter landed out back, and they came in and shut him down.
The technology is amazing.
I hope he gets back in. That is too cool. I'm going to have to look for this on Stunthangar just to see.
Now, what's he saying? The lead outs are still attached when he takes the wing out?
No, they clip off the control
the bell crank.
Bell crank.
Yeah, they just got a spring-loaded lever. It looks like he just flipped it out, pulled off the lead out, and it was disconnected.
The lead outs stay in the wing. You just disconnect it from
Yeah,
the.
they don't stay in the wing. They clip off the bell crank.
Right.
Okay. Wow. That is like way awesome. Really awesome.
I want to know how many hours of machining time he has into this thing.
He said that's a prototype. Is he gonna?
That one was a prototype that he has there.
Right.
That was the first one built. Now he said that Chris Rudd and I can't think of the other guy there in Chicago, they have the molds. So I have a feeling they're going to start producing that airplane.
What do you think that plane's gonna run?
More than I can afford.
I have a feeling it's going to be expensive.
Yeah. How much it weighed?
Huh?
Did he say how much it weighed?
53 ounces, all up with the battery.
Say it again.
53 ounces, all up with the battery.
Okay, that's
battery and all.
Yeah, 700 some square inches. Samantha's airplane was
53 ounces.
640 something, and hers weighed 63.
All in line.
No, his is not in line.
The one he's showing is not in line.
No, he did it different, a different type style wing, and he wanted to keep the that's what he said, the stab up out of the.
Well, still 53 ounces, that size. Comes apart like that. That nice, easy finish. Yeah.
Chris Hornady's coming in. Hang on, Chris. Let me authorize you just a second.
I want to know how much he's selling it for when he does.
Okay. There you go.
I'll try to get a hold of Chris and find out.
I'm just curious to know how much they're running for, because it's got to be better than the Shanko Shark that everybody's buying for $3,000.
Hey, Chris, did you see that airplane that we were just watching Dorian demonstrate to us how it comes apart?
I was just watching that on YouTube. I figured I'd chime in. That looks pretty neat.
Yeah, that is. I hope he gets back in. He must have had a power blip or something.
That was a real game changer, that thing. It really made you alive.
I think it's really awesome. That is something. That's a hell of a design. Engineering.
Hey, Steve, you said that was on the Stunthangar?
Yes.
He said it was on Stunthangar, probably in the building for him.
No, I think it's right in the. I'll get on the look.
Tell me how.
Here he comes.
Here he comes.
Off the chart.
Okay.
I'm trying to get you back in all the way.
There we go.
There we go.
That is
Yeah, man, that is fascinating. That is a remarkable machine you've built there.
Yeah, that was really amazing.
Well, thanks. Appreciate that. Yeah.
You're gonna Friday. You're gonna have to have your phone charged all the way up, and then continue your.
I had to put it back together.
Yeah.
Now, did you design the
Everything.
the controls and everything? Okay.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of custom work in it.
Looks like it.
All the hardware I made it except for the ball links, which I put in there. Everything else is custom made. The ball bearings, I bought them, obviously.
Yeah.
That's even the motor, the back plate on the motor and adapter to the motor, it's custom made.
Wow. Okay, guys. If you want to read his thread, it's under All Amped Up on Stunthangar, and it is Revolutions.
Mm-hmm.
It's about 5 down right now.
Mm-hmm.
Revolution.
Everybody's tabbing over.
I'm typing it in the chat box on YouTube too.
Yeah, it's TDM is what it says on there for who started the thread.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
TDM.
So,
Yeah,
so
so you can-
Bob was saying something. Bob was saying that he likes that inline setup. I'm not sure I'm buying it because one thing that I have against it is, number one, you'll never see the real life plane in the real world, even on an aerobatic plane that people fly in aerobatic competition that will have the elevator behind the wing. It just doesn't exist. So all these engineers with aviation background and stuff like that, they never put the elevator behind the, they never put it behind an engine. Even you look at the older twin engine planes, when I make the two engines on the motor, you look at the elevator, it's high up and it would dihedral into it to put in clean air. I mean, that's one thing. And Wendy told me, like he said, it just got better and better as the elevator got higher and higher. And then coming from the glider world, I realized that the idea is to put it in clean air, where it's the most efficient and has very good positive, influence over the flight path of the plane, right?
I was wondering about that because straight and level, it would be in the turbulence.
Always.
If you do a square, is it still flying through the turbulence, or is now the tail out of the turbulence?
It's still a little bit in the turbulence because as the plane turns, the turbulence kind of lags behind, right? And the elevator still hits the turbulent air a little bit. Not as much as in level flight, but in level flight, it pretty much kills you. So what I noticed in the shark, people that fly sharks, what they did, they moved the CG forward because an aft CG is going to give you a very touchy plane, but it doesn't like to track at all. As the CG moves forward, then you improve tracking, right?
Yeah.
So they all put the CG forward, and kind of what Bob said, you kind of ring up a bell immediately. That is like a Queen Mary in a loop, right? Nice and docile and stuff like that. Why? Because it has a forward CG. It just makes sense, right?
Yeah.
But what Bob said again is that as you deflect the control surfaces, you have to deflect them a lot to make the plane turn. Why? It's because its CG is forward. It's as simple as that. So what I've done on my plane is that two things I've done. First of all, I push the elevator high and I have a dihedral into it to push the elevator in clean air. And as a matter of fact, if you look in a computer-aided design, if you look from the front of the plane, you see the elevator clean.
Yeah.
You know? So it's flying in clean air, and the plane tracks horizontally beautifully. And I do fly with an aft CG on this plane. This plane has an aft CG. Actually, I'm behind the main spar. So
35% or something. What percentage of the chord would it be back?
They were asking why you're gone. Do you have any idea what that airplane will sell for once it's starting to be produced?
It's at least a $2,000 plane.
2,000?
Yeah, at least. Yeah, I mean it's just the same quality, same. I think it's better.
And then you just have to finish it yourself, right? Color, design, finish.
I would do it in a mold.
Yeah.
I would do that in a mold, but yes, you can paint it afterwards. No big deal because it has a clear coat on the outside.
Well, wait, you're gonna paint it. You're gonna paint it for $2,000, or you're not?
I can do that. I mean, that's probably what would be built into it. Yeah.
See, what I want to do is take a week off from work and then work it out when Samantha has it off school and go wherever this mold is and then mold it so it's BOM compliant. Because otherwise, it can only be used in the World Championships. But if she can go there and mold her own fuselage and her own wings and everything else, and you put the paint on the outside and not under gel coat, it'll all then qualify for the NATs, basically.
Yeah. I think it's a simpler, if you go participate at the build, it's good enough.
Right. Yeah, that's right. Because you can get the fuselage or whatever, but it can't be a gel coat finish. That's the only thing is. But that's why I asked you there. You painted over the top, so that right there is not a gel coat. So that qualifies it also.
Yeah.
As long as the finish is not gel coat. But I don't know why, if you did a gel coat finish yourself, why that wouldn't count as BOM.
It doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense to me either. If you did the gel coat, you did it,
Yeah. In general, I'm not too much into the BOM. Not because I want to sell the planes or something like that,
Yeah.
It's basically because I care about the dwindling numbers of the control line community.
Right.
Why? Kids go somewhere else because it's cooler, right? And they can buy a plane off the shelf, go fly it in competition, and have a shitload of fun with it, right?
Exactly.
And the whole generation, the new generation of kids that are coming up, they don't want to build shit.
Right.
Well, the difference with this is, if you purchase your airplane the way you have it designed, but you do your own finish to it, that the builder model will apply then, right?
Yeah,
Now,
but they say you
build
do
either
your own
the
control
or
system.
the fuselage. You can't buy both.
You can buy one complete system, which would be a complete wing or a complete fuselage or a complete. I don't think the flaps or elevators are included in that, right?
Yeah.
All you care about is either the fuselage or the wing. That's all.
Yeah.
So you can only buy the fuselage or you can buy the wing, but you can't buy the fuselage, the wing, the whole setup, assemble it, do your own finish to it, and get builder and model points for
it. Correct. You have to do one or the other now.
But yeah, technically this says you have to join your own fuselage, whatever, But if we were to be technically correct, you know what? I see it probably set up like I can make the wings and the elevator and mold the fuselage sides. And when it comes to joining the two fuselage sides, I get you in here.
Right. Exactly.
Join it together.
That's what I'm thinking that I want to do is
You join the fuselage, right? And after
Right.
that, I help you with
That makes sense.
installing everything in there, and you go home with the plane.
Yeah. Yeah, that.
If we're really fanatic about it, you know, stuff like that. But you know, I've seen. I flew discus launch gliders for a few years now, and I see a lot of young kids coming in and participating over there. The sport is growing at a very, very rapid rate. I mean, it's just a lot of people. It's just growing, right?
Yeah.
And gliders. I mean, how exciting can a glider be, right? But
Yeah.
you know, they're growing, but they don't have to have a builder of the model. If you was a builder of the model rule in a glider world, there would be like 4 competitors in the whole country. I would go over there with my composite plane and kick their ass.
Yeah.
And they couldn't say anything about it because they cannot build what I can build.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That would be it. And you have 4 people that would have very, very competitive plane, beating everybody else that has probably stick, wood, and tissue planes. And they're going to say, sooner or later, going to say, I give up. I can't compete with that.
Yeah, but the downside now is you lose your appearance points.
Yeah.
Right.
But I think this is a detriment to our hobby. That's my opinion. But, you know, a lot of people have different approaches, different way of their think, you know, but this is the way I think. So
make the playing field even and just continue doing appearance points, and you'll have more competitors and more fun in the hobby.
And give the plane, I mean, if they can buy their own plane and go fly, practice, and come to a contest, I bet you there's a lot of kids who would start to show up and fly, because this is exciting stuff. Flying stunt is not easy. It's exciting, right?
Yeah.
I try to tell people, it's like with Samantha, 4 years was wasted in just for her building her own airplane and trying to fly it. They flew like crap.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the one we did 4 years ago, one guy flew it, helped trim me. He goes, "This is the worst airplane I've ever flown in my life."
Mm-hmm.
How is she going to learn anything? How is she going to get better? She got her a decent flying airplane, and she had a month and a half to fly it before she went over to the World Championships to get used to it.
Yeah.
I mean, everything is like crap.
Yeah.
And it kills their joy. You know, that's what she said. I'm so tired of trying to make the airplane fly. It don't fly good.
Yeah.
You know, because we could buy an ARF, stick it together. She loved it.
Uh-huh.
We flight at the Nats. So we built one, and it flies like.
Love that idea.
Huh?
Charles likes that idea. That's been working good with him.
Oh, I love the idea not having BOS.
Stars, put them together, boom, get in the air. I tell a lot of people that, all new people in the hobby, buy an ARF and get in the air and start having fun. Don't figure out.
Exactly.
If there was no appearance point, I probably would have been 3rd place at the state this year.
Yeah, the industry changed over the years, and you cannot stop that. People want to make money. The people want to have planes ready to fly and stuff like that, and the industry gave it to them because it's easy. They, you know, most people, most so-called modelers, actually flyers. They're not really modelers. All they do is just bolt a couple of wings together, stick it together, and put some servos, some kind of radio equipment in it. That's the modeling, end of the modeling.
Oh, wait, if you're talking about radio control, so they just assemble them.
Yes.
Nuts and bolts. I have a couple of RCRs and so forth, but I bought one not too long ago also, and in 4 hours I had it together on the dining room table. Nuts and bolts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it's dividing the modeling community to a degree. Here in New Zealand, you've got no builder of the model role, so most of the Stunthangar models are actually ready-made, ready to fly, or models, sophisticated models, multi-piece models that have been brought in, and a lot of people are flying the Finco Sharks here. But for myself, I like a scale model. I like to build, and I'll always come last because I'm not going to be competitive with those other people, but I'll do it for fun of it.
I love
it for fun of it. And I know if I make something at scale and it's heavy and it's too big and it's uncomfortable to fly, I created it at least, and I can live with it. I'm happy to live with that, the fun element of it. And I realize with my boys, they like the flying part of it. They'd much rather have a model that's ready to fly, that they can just pull out and be competitive. But at the same time, they still enjoy building something of their own, creating something that's them. And often, like my youngest son, the first model he wanted to build was an SE5 biplane. He just said, I want to build an SE5 and fly it at the Nats. And we did it. And he was only 5 at the time. And it was heavy as hell, and it flew terribly, but it was his plane, and everybody was awestruck by the fact that it was his plane. That's part of the fun, just being different, just striving to do something that's personal, that's yours.
Yeah, and you know, but yeah, and if he wants to do that, good for him, right?
Right.
You know,
Absolutely.
we're happy for him, and it's awesome, you know. But
if he wants,
but
let's
we don't impose our opinion on other people. If I have to build, you have to build it too. You know, if I'm enjoying myself,
recommendation to the power supply to use for this, or you're going to supply it with that?
What?
You're going to supply this with the power power supply for that, with the motor and so forth, and ESC, or you're just going to give a recommendation of what to go in with it? No, you give the specifications of what to put in it, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that'll be just as simple as that. I mean, just put it in and slap it on and then be done.
Right. I'm just saying you're going to give the specifications, what motor to use, ESC, so forth, and so on.
Yeah.
That point. Right.
Yeah.
Well, guys, it's been fun, but I'm going to have to head out.
All right.
All right, Ed. Take it
easy. Head out too, because it's 12 something right now.
Are you gonna do another one, or is this where you stop now, or are you gonna try something else, or?
I think I'm done.
Yeah.
I think I'm done. It's this plane in the air. When I fly this plane in the air, the one thing I can say about it, the way it flies, it's effortless. I don't have, you know, it has such little. What happens, because I have a long moment of arm. It's over 22 inches from the hinge line to hinge line, like we typically measure it. I have, good night. I have very little deflection on the control surfaces, and in order to turn the plane, it has so much force on the elevator, it changes the angle of attack of the wing, and it bites into the air like, you know, big time. And, and as soon as it bites, it turns.
Wow. How hard does it pull on the handle?
It's light. It's
Is
not
it?
very hard. It's a 59-ounce plane.
Okay. There's no pull to that.
Yeah, but
you know, because with Samantha, you know, she being a girl and she's only 5'1". She's small, and even with the plane she has now, that weighs 63. And but in the wind, there's such the fuselage area is so big or whatever, it pulls so hard on her hand.
What
so
I've
tried to
done,
build a smaller airplane for her to.
yeah, if you look at my plane, the center of pressure on the fuselage is behind the wing. So the harder the wind blows, the more it pushes the nose into the circle.
Oh,
so
okay.
it balances it out. If you fly it into the wind, you're not going to feel any excessive pull.
Wow.
Ah, all right.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
Because that's been the hardest thing for her, is to fly what's there. And, you know, a Vector, they weighed, you know, 47 to 50 ounces, and she could handle that wind. But we get up to over 60, she starts having a real problem with hanging onto that handle.
Yeah.
She just doesn't have enough strength.
Yeah.
You know, I made a thing that she could pull on just to try to strengthen her hand up or in her arm.
I see that. Yeah. What I've done is, from how much I flew this plane, which is not a whole lot. What I've noticed into the wind is beautiful overheads when you get up on top.
Yeah.
Because the wing is only 2.25 inches thick. No, 2 1/8 inches thickness at the max.
Okay.
It's a very thin wing, and when you climb on top, it cuts through the wing like it's butter, right?
Right.
Also in overheads, when you do your overhead 8, and as you climb with the wind, the harder the wind blows and the thicker your airfoil is, it's like a parachute, right? So the wing is slingshotting you overhead, right? You accelerate over there. But then when you come here at the 45 and you start to fly into the wing, you have a big ass brakes over there, right?
Yeah.
So it brakes, it slows you down, you lose line tension and stuff like that, and then you come in and slings up and shoots you up, and so now you go past your head, way back there and stuff like that. Because this plane has a much thinner airfoil, it doesn't accelerate, it's just nice and composed, comes overhead, comes here, chops, slices through the wind, comes back, not an issue.
Nice.
Not an issue.
Dorian, that plane you showed us, that has the exponential control system also?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, will
I
you
have no idea what that looks like.
or would that come with the airplane when you bought it, or?
Yeah.
No, okay. Yeah, 'cause Samantha said she wants to fly in Poland in 2 years, so I got to get her an airplane that she can get like a year on, get some real good practice with it. You know, so yeah, we'll have to talk and somehow get there and.
When I was in the Nats with this plane, I mean, it was just, I was telling, you know, people probably would not believe me because I say, hey, he's biased, whatever, you know, but it's stupid easy to fly. It's the easiest plane I ever flew in my whole life. And it's
Now you said the new one only weighs 53 ounces?
The second one, yes.
Holy shit. So you cut another 6 ounces off of that, off your prototype.
Yeah. We cut it mainly in the aft section. You see the nose section that I took apart?
Yeah.
The nose section weighs 57 grams. That
Wow.
in perspective, it's 2 ounces and change.
Yeah.
A little bit over 2 ounces. And that 57-gram nose holds half a kilogram worth of motor, electronic speed controller, and battery.
Right.
That takes a beating every flight, you know, so, and it just stays together. The aft section of the fuselage on a new plane, we drop it down from 210 grams to 187.
Wow.
That's out of the mold. The whole rear section of the fuselage, I'm talking rudder, the rudder, vertical fin, all the fairings and stuff like that, the whole body section, including the tail wheel mount in there.
Holy cow.
That's built into it. That's 187 grams. And the second one came up with a little bit more forward CG because the tail is lighter. What happened with my plane is that I use some very coarse carbon fiber. And when I start to add material to close in the you know, the pores in the carbon fiber, that added a lot of weight on an aft section of the fuselage.
Oh yeah, it soaks more epoxy or whatever, huh?
Yes, yeah, it's like a sponge. Yeah. And it's very hard to fill in that grain. So I had to put putty and stuff like that. And actually, when I went to the Nats, I was planning to use the Axie, but when we balanced the plane and we said, this is too far aft, you know, it's like to be comfortable to put a maiden flight on it. So that's when we decided to put the bigger motor. We switched immediately to the Joker motor, which was like 35 grams heavier. And actually, it turned out that was a good decision overall anyways.
Yeah, I tell you what, that Axie motor is the hottest running motor I've ever run in my life. But I think it's so small and long, I think that's why it overheats, and I use it. For that airplane of Samantha, we were using 80% of that 2800 battery, sometimes 81%.
Yeah.
On the same prop you're using and everything. I mean, that's
right. What is the plane Axie, right? The one that Igor is using?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Try to use this 4250 on it. You'll be surprised how much. I mean, you're gonna have power to spare.
Well, I really can't because how they built this airplane, I wanted it a front mount
Uh-huh.
and be front mounted.
Uh-huh.
They run the motor through the nose, hook it up from the back,
Uh-huh.
and I can't get any other motor in that damn fuselage.
Oh, I see. I want to show you something what these guys did on these motors. Sorry. What they did on these motors, you could probably still fit it. Because what they did, they shrunk the front end of it. And actually they will fit on the axis. They're straight bolting on axis because they have the same 25 mil. But you see, like this diameter is smaller.
Yeah.
This diameter is smaller. This diameter is larger. So as your fuselage goes like bigger and bigger, you may still clear it.
Yeah, but on this airplane, you take this where the spinner is.
Mm-hmm.
The spinner is a 2-inch spinner, and there's just a little teeny fine ring around there,
Mm-hmm.
and you slide the motor through the front of the airplane.
Yeah, this is 42 millimeters. 2 inches is much bigger than that.
What size is the axle motor? Barely goes through there.
Ah, that's a 35. This is 7 millimeters more. It's about 7 millimeters is not much. It's a quarter of an inch or so more.
Oh, maybe it'd go in there then.
Yeah, this is this is 42 millimeters here on the biggest diameter.
Okay.
But here in the front, it's about 40.
Oh, all right.
You see the step?
Yeah.
And they do this because they use this area for cooling. The air can go in there.
Oh, okay.
Through the crack.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's the type of motor you have in that plane?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a Joker. I heard of him.
What is that called again? Which one is that?
Joker.
It's
What was the KV on it? Was it 750 KV?
no, this is 510.
510. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's they come in all kinds. This is 510 kilovolts. Works on 6S maximum. I have another one, exact same frame, exact same motor, same weight, same everything. Different winding inside. That's work on 5S on 680 kilovolts, which plays perfectly in what we need. And I also have another one that's 820 kilovolts, and that is a
for a 5-cell.
Or a 4-cell.
Oh, for a 4.
4-cell. 820 would work with a 4. I think would work with a 4 okay. Just fine. Yeah. So, and they're all on the same frame, same exact weight. There's no difference between them. The weakest of them is the 820 kilovolt that works on 4-cell, and even that one has over 1100 watts.
Holy cow!
This is the one I'm using. It's 1150. I don't have to use it, but it's such a strong motor right now, and this kind of plays into what I'm saying. You know, it's a strong motor, spins the prop effortless, and as it doesn't get hot, it doesn't get worked out, it doesn't even break a sweat.
Yeah, it was the same reason people went to a 77 or over a 60. It gave the with the glow motor, it didn't have to work as hard, just going to that bigger displacement. And it makes sense with the electric. Do the same thing, have it undistressed, and it'll have an easier life.
There's no replacement for displacement. That was the old thing in drag racing and everything.
Yeah.
And what prop is on that? What prop you run with that as well?
Right now, I'm not running the prop I want to run on it, but I'm running a Igor 3-blade 11-inch undercambered.
Undercambered?
Yeah, that's what we ran on Samantha's too. I really like that prop. They said it eats up too much battery, but I really don't think it was the prop eating up all that battery. I think it's that motor.
Yeah, it is the motor, because the motor is not big enough for the prop.
So what prop do you want to try to fly on that plane? You're going to go up to the 12-inch?
Actually, I want to move to the wood props. I want to move to a wood prop, a 13-inch. 13.6, 13.7, and even drop the RPM a little bit. Nah, not 3-blade.
You said that's an 11-inch right now. 11-inch Igor.
I tell you what, this is such a nice light prop. These things are beautiful. These Trinity 3 blades, wooden prop.
Try the 2-blade is better.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Have you tried one of these?
Not exactly, but yeah, I have some 2 blades in my toolbox right now that I want to try, but I don't have the ground clearance on this plane, so I'm gonna have to wait for the winter to go past and make it like a winter project to lower the landing gear legs. So, but what I've done, I did, it's a crude calculator, right? It doesn't, it's just theory, right?
Yeah.
But at least the theory is based on something that's uniform, right? Same air density, same, proportional weight increase to the prop size and stuff like that. So I was trying to figure out, like, hey, I want to make a 5-blade prop for this bad boy, right? I was that crazy, right? And I said, if that's better. But what I found out, I said, okay, electric motors, what am I looking for? I'm looking for the lowest wattage I can get for the same, if I maintain the same thrust at the same speed on a plane, what is the lowest power consumption? What's the most efficient prop I can find? So to my surprise is that it ended up to be a single blade prop.
Single bladed prop. That's why I said. That's why I held up one finger.
Single blade prop. However, that's impractical because most people run 2-blade props, so you can basically stick over there. And the bigger the diameter gets and the lower RPM gets, it gets even more efficient. And I was putting, this is my baseline. I started with a 12-inch 5. I was thinking about the tune pipe engine, right? So I was thinking about the 3-blade 12-inch prop that has about 3.75, 4-inch pitch, and at, say, 10,500 RPMs, right? So, and I was looking at, what kind of power output do you have for that? And I had said 54 miles per hour, and they said the thrust is, say, 100 ounces, right?
Yeah.
So then I was trying to find combination of props that's going to produce that 54 miles per hour and 100 ounces of thrust, right?
Yeah.
And I started to play with it, and I said, well, I think it was 700 some watts for that prop for the 12-inch low pitch at 10,500 RPM, right? And then as I was going, I started to play with I said, maybe make the prop smaller, right? And I need to make more power, so I had to add blades to it. And it brought the power up to 11 ounces. Then I played with the pitch and RPM to get the speed constant, right? And what I found out is the more blades I put on the prop, the more power it required to produce the same thrust and the same speed.
Yeah, exactly.
That doesn't make any sense. So then I went down to a 2-blade prop. So I went down to a 2-blade prop. Now to maintain thrust, I need to increase the diameter, right? So I increased the diameter. I got my 100 ounces of thrust, and I got my speed by doing the pitch. And guess what? The power started to come down. So if the original was over 700, by the time I was done with it, I mean, it looked kind of funny, a 13-inch prop, right? Or a 15-inch prop. But the power dropped down by 200 watts.
Yeah.
That is significant. The power started to drop by about 20%. So the logical conclusion was like, well, you want to go with as big as a prop as you can probably fit on the plane, and then go up in pitch. Go up in pitch and lower the kV on the motor, lower the RPM, and it becomes more efficient at that point. And you still maintain your thrust, you still maintain your speed. So as you pull out of the corner, you still have the thrust to accelerate to the next one, and so on and so forth. The only reason for which I have this prop on this plane is because I painted myself in a corner. what I did is I measured from the parting line to the bottom of the gear alongside of the bottom of the fuselage, and it came up to 1.5 inches, right? And I said, great, I have a 3/4 inch tape. I'm going to put two pieces of tape side by side. There you go. I have the bottom of my landing gear. And I use that as a reference to make the cutouts for the block that goes inside there. Well, the problem is that that was not 3/4, it was 1 inch tape. So now my landing gear ended up 1/2 inch higher, which means my prop dropped down like by a shitload.
Right.
Well, like, oh no, tomorrow I'm going to the nets. What am I gonna do now?
Well, it's nice to know that smart guys like you make mistakes too.
You know what though? More than likely, by you moving that up in there and then making the landing gear longer, is probably more stable higher into the fuselage than it would be at the bottom of the fuselage.
Well, it will be more, but you know, it really doesn't matter much because all you care about is when you take off and land, and I have plenty of stability as is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, just you have quite a bit of spacing between the, you know, left to right. It's about this big, you know, just like.
Yeah.
Bob Hunt's talked in the past about going to bigger and bigger props, adding more drag or inertia, the gyroscopic progression, all of that seems to come in when you go to a bigger prop. So if you go to a huge prop like on the electric sailplane, surely that'll have disadvantages in terms of your turning ability.
True. It is absolutely true if you spin it at the same RPM. If you get a big prop and you spin it at a 10,000 RPM, yes. But if you get a big prop that you spin it at 6,000 RPM or 5,000 and change, half of that, and you still maintain a relatively light blade on the prop, guess what? That goes down. Actually, I took Igor's calculations that he gave me, and I said for the bigger prop at a lower RPM, and I was looking at the comparative weights, the gyroscopic precession is much less.
No kidding. And
So
I forgot about the RPM. Yeah, I forgot about the RPM. Yeah, because usually when we increase the prop size, we don't do anything to the pitch.
Yeah. So as I said, when I was doing my prop, you know, crazy calculations over there, I went up to a 13-inch prop, a 7-8 inch pitch, right? High pitch, super high pitch, right?
Right.
So a big diameter of high pitch spinning at low RPM. Boy, oh boy, the thing it's efficient, and you can fly this. I mean, you're a plain example. You have that 3-blade prop that weighs nothing, right?
Yeah.
Right. And the same blade in a 2-blade, maybe a little bit more diameter. It's even lighter than that. So you take that big prop with a high pitch. You know, I really would love to try a 13.6 or 13.7 on this plane.
Well, back in the 80s, that's what Hanno Pretner did in Germany. Turned down the RPM by like 4,000 RPM, used a bigger diameter, higher pitch prop, and won everything. And I mean, that's where turnaround came in. I mean, he could turn so much sharper, do everything so much better.
Lower RPM.
Lower the RPM. That's when the 60 long stroke Webra came out, and OS and all of them came out with the long stroke, so they could turn around 12,000 RPM instead of 16,000 RPM, and it made a huge difference on how the airplane flew.
Yeah, I mean, if I put a 12-inch prop on this plane instead of this 11-inch prop that I have right now, that's the next thing I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try a 12.6 on it. And probably I'm going to lower up the RPM a little bit, and I'm probably going to end up in a better shape. I mean, I'm just scratching the surface on the performance of this plane right now, and it's stunning as is. And I have no clue how much better it's going to get. Because
that's what we kind of did with this, because I had carbon fiber props.
Yeah.
That were a 12-inch. 4 1/4. And I went to this is a 12.6 and dropped the RPM, and the airplane turned better and everything.
Yeah, because lower RPM.
keeping the diameter the same and then raising the pitch and lowering the RPM.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, just you could probably go to a two-blade and it'd be even better than that. I mean, you just buy another 30%.
Yeah, the biggest thing was ground clearance. That's the reason why I went with a 3-blade, because of ground clearance.
Did you ever go to RC groups and see what people recommend for conversions for a 40 size plane?
Oh yeah, I know.
Did you ever look at that? And everybody goes like, "Hey, can you fit a 14-inch prop on that?" And I wish you go like, "What? Are you telling me I was running a 14-inch prop on a 40 size motor? Are you crazy?"
Yeah.
They don't realize that electric motors love low RPM and a big diameter with a high pitch. They love it.
Oh, I know it.
Yeah, and that's why I started that article. I put an article over there in Stunt News, and I said, why don't you start to think electric for an electric plane, and learn to think electric and build for electric purpose.
Right. That was
You can
Samantha.
no longer apply the principles that you are applying on IC. IC has lots of power at high end, not at the idle.
Right.
Electric has the power at 0 RPM. They develop most power.
Well, that's
at 0 RPM.
we tried electric, I don't know, 6 years ago. Samantha hated it. But we are always trying to convert an IC plane into electric and use all IC stuff.
That's why.
And it did not work. It did not work good. And it's like, once we started seeing electric planes designed for electric and how they're balanced and all this kind of stuff and the props and the pitch.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
You know, we got an electric and we got a 4 pitch on it.
Yeah. Well, think about this, like food for thought, right? Electrics like low RPM.
Right.
So you need to use a big diameter, high pitch, low RPM. That's the only way to go, right? So all of a sudden, whatever propeller you use for the IC, it's out the window. Just forget it.
Right.
Now you have those accelerometers. In an IC, when you go 2-4 brake, between the 2 and a 4, I think there are only maybe a few hundred RPM difference between them. In electric, the sky is the limit. You can go from full power to idle.
Right.
If you choose to do so with the active accelerometers. In IC, you need this big fat airfoil to hold it back on a downline, right?
Yeah.
In electric, you don't need it anymore, right?
Well, that's what I said. You guys got to develop something that charges the battery on the way down.
Well, I don't think we're going to get to the
We'll go that slow.
Stuff. But
Like active braking, like they
yeah.
do in cars.
Braking and stuff like that.
Well, that's kind of going to be, you know, it's like with Samantha when we got there, the more we use the Igor timer, it's going to be figuring out how it works and then what the individual pilot likes, how much braking they want coming down, how much
so easy
they want going up, and balancing all that on the way they fly, because everybody are an individual.
Yes.
The reflexes are a little different, stuff like this. And that makes it where you can fine tune it to your style of flying.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey guys, let me interrupt for just a second. I've got to go. Y'all are.
I got to work in the morning too. I'm going to be.
All right, me too.
Y'all are welcome to hang out and chat as long as you want. But I'm going to close the broadcast to YouTube, and I appreciate all y'all coming in. It's been a great discussion.
Yeah, try to come back Friday and show us some more on the airplane how it comes apart. Do you have time?
Yeah, you're welcome to come back. I mean, you're a wealth of knowledge in all kinds of areas. That's great.
I'm not sure if Sparky loves me anymore. I busted his bubble a little bit, you know, because said this is my first flight on a plane. I said, let me see. Your takeoff was almost perfect. Your handle was almost perfect. Are you telling me on a maiden flight you have a perfect handle set to make that takeoff? Okay.
I know. I was questioning it also. I was like, What about getting the wings level? What about, all these things
Yeah,
you do?
yeah, yeah. I mean, you fly out of the box like that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's
I mean,
possible off the bench, but I was curious.
Yeah.
Okay, you got it.
Anyways.
Gary Forbes reports that our friend Wally is in the hospital recovering from pretty serious back surgery. So, well wishes to Wally from all of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I know we haven't seen him on here for a couple weeks.
He's a great member too. He's provides a lot of entertainment when he comes in. And so all you people that are over on YouTube tonight, we had a good crowd over there. And thank y'all for coming in. Thanks for your donations and contributions. And all of you guys that came in on video, I appreciate you. We love you, and we'll see you on Friday. And so y'all have a great week. And until then, fair winds, tight lines, and we'll see you later. And y'all carry on if you want. We're just closing the broadcast. Good night.
All right.